you ready? You ready to knock this out?
Let's do it.
Why don't you give me a little intro about yourself, and then we're going to jump right into it.
All right.
Name, number, social.
Whoa. Well, you're not going to get very far with that stolen identity.
Yeah, right.
You'll be like, dude, we accumulated a lot of debt when we ran that one.
Small business owner, you ain't getting shit.
Yeah, everyone's like, bro, you must be rich. I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll call it that. Name's Kristian. Joined the Marine Corps in 2001, active duty till 2005, and then went into the reserves after that. Well, I was going to college, got a 4-year degree in like three and a half years while doing the reserve stuff. Lat moved to 0351 assaultman, and I was like, this is cool, but not cool enough. And then Lat moved again to reconnaissance, and then I was with 4th Force Reconnaissance out of Hawaii for probably like 5 or 6 years, something like that.
All right. Well, let's jump into it. Where were you born?
I was born in Rapid City, South Dakota.
How was that growing up out there?
I have no idea. So I was actually adopted at like day one. So
Really?
I only have less than like 24 hours in Rapid City, South. So yeah, it was a good time. Like, I highly recommend it.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Juneau, Alaska.
Juneau, Alaska, man. How was that?
It was interesting. It's a super great place to grow up. I mean, the outdoors and the fishing and hunting and anything along those lines is spectacular. Like, it's, you're doing stuff that people pay an ungodly amount of money to go. Like,
It's just there, yeah.
Yeah, like if you were decided that you wanted to do a brown bear hunt, it's probably $40K to start out.
Yeah.
And then you have friends that are like, I have a boat, cool, let's run over to this island and we'll see if we can't find a coastal brown bear. And then you like look at these people that spent, $40K plus. Like I looked at one guy's website and I think it's $60K to go brown bear hunting. And I was like, that's $6,000 a day because it's usually a 10-day hunt. And then if you don't get anything, they're like, oh, well, we can get you back on the books for like half price.
So you're still paying
You're still at $90K invested
in a brown bear hunt.
For
something that you get to do for probably like $20 and go over the counter tag and just go out and do it.
$25 for the locking tag, if I recall. I could be wrong. Someone will probably fact check that and be like, it's actually $35 with tax. You can't win. Like, all right, whatever.
We honestly haven't had much of that on this podcast yet.
I'll be fact checking myself. I'll be like, that dude's a liar, and you'll be like, dude, you're commenting under your own name. Like, oh.
This guy sucks. You're like,
I hate that dude.
I'm so confused. So Juneau, Alaska. Where's that located in Alaska? What's it near?
Well, it's not really near anything. It's in southeast Alaska.
Okay.
So on the Panhandle, only way you can get in there is by boat or plane. So it's super secluded. It's super scenic.
Yeah.
There's glaciers. You can drive out and go see the glacier. You can drive out the road and see whales, killer whales out in the channel and or Lynn Canal specifically. You've got the Alaska Marine Highway, which is the ferry system that kind of transports everybody around. That's how, like, if you're living in a small town out in the middle of nowhere, your main transportation is either bush plane or the Alaska Marine Highway.
That's something I find so interesting is how everybody just has a plane. Because we do a trip every year and bring a bunch of guys up. We just got back from we stay in Kenai, fish to Soldotna. We do Homer. We fly out with Alaska West. We do the whole fly-in silvers, and just to show these guys a little bit what Alaska has to offer within that week. And it's the most incredible time, man. Alaska is one of the most beautiful places you can go. You
can't beat it.
We went out of Seward, my first time going out of there, and them explaining like, oh, it's where the cruise lines come in, where the cruise ships stop. It's one of their Alaska tour, and I'm like, this is gonna be like super little tourist Alaska. We showed up. There was no cruise ships at all.
Yeah,
we went on. I want to say it was Big Dan's or Big D's. I should get that right, but.
Shameless plug for whoever that company
is. Yeah, right. I want to say it's Big Dan's. And we had these 2 kids, and it was the greatest day on the water. And the other half of the group went with a different guide. we kind of went left and right, and we went around. We went out of Seward, and we stuck to, if you're leaving the harbor, we were on the left side, and then we kind of just went around the peninsula, and we went, and there's these old military bunkers. Like there's this random island, and it has a bunker on the top of it, like an old just concrete bunker. And, you know, it was all Marines on this boat that I was with. And I was like, could you imagine being the private
be terrible.
or the PFC that got stuck on fire watch, and you're rowing some boat offshore, like going out in the middle of the night to relieve those guys, and you're just like
he didn't make it, you know,
like my life, like.
And that's one thing that people don't realize about Alaska is like the military history goes on for, I mean, there's so much of it
because we're so close to Russia. And I mean, I would imagine that's probably the main reason, but like I had no idea, because why would I need to?
Yeah, I mean, the Japanese actually invaded on the Aleutian chain, and so there was actually people out there, you know, fighting against the Japanese and whatnot. I'm not going to attempt to say the name of the island because I don't even remember. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But then you have Whittier, which was like allegedly a secret subport because it's so deep in there. And I mean, it's a town that just has one main building in the middle of it, and everybody lives in it. And so the only way to get in there is through, I think it's like a 2.5, maybe longer mile tunnel that cuts through the mountain. And so it's only a one-way tunnel.
Really?
Yeah, you got to wait if the train's going through or not, or it's just one way. So, you know, depending on what time you show up, you could be sitting there for 30, 45 minutes, and you drive out there, and there's just a massive, like an apartment building is basically like a high-rise. And that was, you know, the barracks and all that stuff. And so they had a substantial military presence there. And then they've got, you know, Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, and they've got Clear Air Force Base, which is like the or it's the missile defense system. I mean, when you watch a movie, people have no idea. Like, when you watch a movie and they say, like, we're going to send you to man a radar station in Alaska, that would be most likely Clear Air Force Base.
Really?
Because it's you have to drive through Denali to get to it. Super small town, highly secured. You can't just go in there. Like, I mean, they have pressure plates, all this stuff for security. You know, you go into a room, and then that door locks, and then they unlock the other door after they check you in. And it's pretty interesting. You know,
what's going on in there? They're just scanning everything, or what?
So I talked to a couple of guys that worked in there because I had a secret security clearance. What was I doing? I was basically watching electricians work to make sure they didn't steal it. I don't know. Or they didn't wander into something they weren't supposed to.
Babysitting.
Yeah. It was pretty chill, but, you know, we were in the actual, like, we'll call it a command center, but it had, like, computers, you know, from, like, the 80s, you know.
The green screens with the little...
Yeah, because...
Really?
And the printouts were the papers that are like perforated.
Yeah. So you tear the edges off of? No shit.
All of that stuff. And I was like, this is supposed to be, because according to them, they were like, we can track a baseball moving anywhere in the United States. And we can tell you where it's going to hit, what its rotational spin is on that, how fast it's going. Now, granted, I'm taking it with a grain of salt, because the guy that was sitting there was like, some old guy that's 400 pounds and probably just was excited to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So is it true? I don't know. That's what he said. Probably, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
Could be classified. Probably not. I mean, like, he was just telling everybody in the room about it. And I was like,
he's like, no one's going to believe me anyways.
Yeah. Like, this isn't real. It might be on a podcast later in life. And then, you know, who knows? Maybe I'll get a call from somebody like, I don't think I signed an NDA. Maybe
you violated some.
Yeah, maybe we'll just edit that part out. We'll just get rid of that.
Nope.
Damn it.
We're live.
Oh, no.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
we're actually live on stream on Facebook right now.
I'll go ahead and see myself out.
I did not Hillary myself.
Oh, no, I might have on that one.
You know? That's pretty fascinating. But then you look at some balloon that travels across our country, and like nobody says a word about this Chinese.
Yeah, or that, or they're like, how do we take it down? It's like, are you kidding me?
Right.
I mean, we have the greatest military in the world, technologically advanced, way surpassed anybody else. Like, you know, most of the stuff that you see coming out of like China is all disinformation. Half the stuff isn't even real. Like,
you think so?
Oh, I guarantee it. I mean, they're just, the technology just isn't there.
You really?
Yeah.
I feel the complete opposite.
I just don't think they have the I mean, they have the numbers.
Oh, for sure.
And a lot of the stuff from like previous work that I've done in the past is they were just talking about a lot of it is just propaganda. You know, like you see
yeah. I mean,
videos that they're putting up and it's just like, look at us, we're some unstoppable fighting force. Now, granted, like if we had to fight them, it wouldn't be easy.
No.
You know, if we went to a ground battle, like, you know.
I feel like a war with them would be strictly air.
It would have to be. It would be, I mean, just long range, pounding the crap out of them forever. I mean,
they have the numbers, dude. They can just like pretty much what we did back in the just wave after wave after wave until you just chip away a big enough hole and
sucks for those 18-year-olds out there.
Fucking A, it does.
Better sign up for that because good luck.
Good luck, boys.
I ain't getting involved in that. Like
my time has come.
Yeah, dude, like it takes me like 30, 45 minutes just to like wake up in the morning. Like I'm not standing in a fighting hole waiting for, you know, some invasion to come over. You know, I mean, look at the Frozen Chosen. That stuff.
Dude,
like
right?
Those guys are some tough people right there. And it's like you look at where stuff is at and it's like, would we be able to do that nowadays? It's hard to say because, you know, you have one side of the youth of America that are like, yeah, let's do this.
There's still some good old boys in this country. I run into some good kids every night that it still, like, it puts a smile on my face when I talk to some of these young kids, because you know there's still some good old boys out there that'll punch you square in your fucking mouth, and they're a young kid. I'm like, all right, there's still some fight, you know. But then you see
the other stuff,
the other half, and you're like,
what?
Good. I hope you get drafted. Like,
yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
front line. 0311.
Yeah,
best of luck to you.
Good luck. Godspeed, kid. Like head on a swivel. You know,
he gone.
Say your goodbyes. Yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, obviously, I hope it never gets to any of that. Like that's why I see these people all the time. Who are like, oh, we need a civil war. We need a civil war. I talked to this guy the other day, and he's like, I can't wait for a civil war. I was like, the second the civil war kicks off, you're gonna fucking regret that.
Well, most of the people that are like, I'm ready for that civil war, they're the same ones that are not ready. Because the way I look at it is a civil war in the United States at this time would be pretty difficult. And the reason I say that is people are strapped to their mortgage, their credit card debt. You know, you look at the numbers of how much debt people are in. It's like, all right, guys, like I got to be home at 10 because I got to be at work tomorrow or else, you know, I'm going to get my house repossessed. I'm going to get my car.
Do you think work would continue, though, if it got to that point, or we just shut down and go completely dark and we just have to figure it out?
So that's a good question.
I mean, if we're in a civil war, I mean, does life continue? And you just like, love your kids, and you go off and you're going to fight the East versus West or liberals versus Republican. I mean, like.
Whatever it may be. Like, and that's the other thing, too, is like, you know, it's not like the whole United States is just going to pop off.
Yeah.
And, you know, and also I don't think anybody wants to be the instigator of that. Like, if you were like, I'm going to start the Civil War, good luck. Because you're going to have the FBI at your house instantly. You're going to have, you know, Department of Homeland Security.
How do you think it happens? How do you think, like, where's the line drawn where we step over where there's no going back? Like,
that's a really tough question.
How ugly does it get? You know, because that's what, you know, the wife always asks, and I've, you know, civilian friends are like, what do you think? Like, when is the Civil War? And I'm like, and my response is, it is going to get very ugly in this country before it really gets close to that point. Like, I'm talking no power, I mean, it's going to get ugly, and I feel a lot of people aren't going to make it through that stage before we even get to the Civil War. This is just my opinion, like seeing how it has to go now. I mean, we have to get so divided and so ugly as a country, which it feels like we're on the way.
Yeah. But I think it's also, I mean, it's just, we live in an age where we want everything now.
Yes.
So you Google anything on the internet, there's going to be 50 stories. And, you know, who knows if they're AI written, if they're written by people, or what you're reading, or if it's even real. And so it's hard to tell. I mean, the propaganda coming out of like media companies is they control the scenario or the narrative of what.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it really is, because
like some of the stuff I just see, and I'm like, can people believe this? And then I'll see some TikToker down in Venice Beach just walking and asking people, like, do you think President Trump planned it? They're like he planned the whole assassination. I'm like,
That's just ridiculous.
Okay, but like that's where we're at as a country, and we're that divided that half is praising, oh my God, he's the greatest thing ever, and fight, and he raised his hand, which that whole scenario was just asinine to me. But then you have this other, I don't want to say half of the country, but a chunk of it that are like, he staged it. And I ask, like,
nobody is going to stage that.
I don't care if you have the #1 sniper in the world, civilian, military, I don't care what his background.
Nick the tip of my ear.
As I turn my head.
Yeah. I'll give you the signal. I'm going to look, to whatever direction.
At
and then
this word, I'm going to turn my head, and you're going to zip the side of my face open.
And we've got the perfect spot for you. It's on a white roof that everybody can see, and I want you to low crawl across it, and I want everybody to see you. And then when I get the fist pump or whatever, when the PowerPoint comes on, that's your cue.
That's your cue. It's crazy, but like that's where we're at. That's the stage we're at. So it's like if you would rewind 5 years ago and be like, hey, this is the future, none of us would be like, oh yeah, that's where we're at.
Nobody would believe it.
That's where we're going to be at as a country, where Antifa is able to tear down historical statues because this person owned a slave and whatever, right? Like look at what we've gone through since COVID, and it's just like it's just slowly chipping. So I mean, I don't know. It's scary thoughts, man. Like, but it's these people. They're we need to have a civil war, man.
I don't know. I mean,
everybody wants it until you see your kid's wig split open, and
I mean,
then
you go to
you rethink everything.
The front line, and your buddy takes a round to the face. You're not going to be like, this is great. This
is great.
He was dead weight anyways, but let's keep pushing. Like, no. And then, you've got the military. There's going to be division of that because...
Yeah, so this is something that people... We just had a cop on. I should have asked him. This is what I'm going to start asking guys. But, like, my biggest thing is how many military and law enforcement are going to stay true to their job, or meaning turn on the civilian people, or how many of them are going to, like, actually be like, no, I'm done.
I think a lot of them, it all comes down to money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for anybody. It's not just cops or law enforcement. You looked at COVID and you had police departments showing up to people's businesses and chaining the doors because the city council said that they need to have a 6-foot distance or whatever the craziness was on that. And so these cops, whether or not they agreed with it or not,
they enforced
it, and then they're destroying people's livelihoods and businesses because they didn't want to give up their paycheck. Because if they give up their paycheck, now they got to find another thing to do to provide for their family. COVID's going on, so everybody's, wearing masks.
What happens when all the banks seize all of our money, but the military is still able to get a paycheck, right?
Exactly.
If you stay in, you do this, your pay continues.
And that's like digital currency and stuff like that. Everybody has their stuff in the bank. Well, okay, what would take it? All they have to do is a couple of keystrokes and your bank account's gone. And then what are you going to do? Take a screenshot of, from the bank account you had yesterday and bring it down to the bank and be like, here. They're going to be like, no.
Yeah, good luck.
And then if you push the envelope too much, next thing you know, the IRS is in your business and they're, like, it looks like you submitted a receipt from 10 years ago, but it's not lying. You're like, oh my God. Like, that's the problem is, when there was the Boston Tea Party, I mean, that was over like 2%?
2% on tea.
Yeah.
2% tax on tea. And look at us now.
Yeah. And now we're, like, I'm just happy to do my part. 35% is a small price to pay. And then you look at like inflation and the economy and people are like, oh, everything's good. And I was like, well, 4 years ago, I was paying $1.90 at the pump. I am not paying that now.
That goes to, excuse me. That goes to these people that are still arguing the fact that we're not in a recession, or, okay, let's take the word recession out, that there's not inflation.
I don't know how you could believe that.
There's people that are legitimately will argue, this is the same as I was paying before. And it's like, what world are you living in? I just saw a video.
Where were you shopping?
Did you see? I don't know if it went exactly. This is downtown New York City. Yeah, like you're at some Trader Joe, like hipster ass grocery store.
Grass-fed lettuce.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, oh, it's delicious.
I just saw a video of this guy that placed a Walmart order.
Yeah.
And did you see this? And how he went back to like 2020 because it has your history, and he just was like curious. It went back to like 2020 or 2019, whatever. I don't know the year of it. and he just hit rip duplicate order, right? And it was like, I want to say when he placed his original order back in, let's say 2020, it was like, let's say it was $150. It was like $400 now. Like he compared it. It was drastic, over double of what it was back then. And people seeing this proof, like, guys, like I went to the store not too long ago and my wife thinks it's hilarious because I don't shop. Like that's one of the roles of being married. One of the benefits is that I don't have to fucking shop.
That's weird because I pegged a shopper. Like the first time we met, I was like, "This dude shops."
I shop till I drop. You know.
Yeah.
No, I refuse to go with any kids. Especially my oldest daughter, because she will just finger fuck everything. Wants to look at it and try on everything. So I'm out on shopping. But I got drug into this one day, and we went to Walmart, and I'm walking out with like a bag and a half of just items in one hand. It was $140. I look at my wife, and I'm like, what did you buy? That's $140 in one full bag in like a couple. Yeah. She's like, welcome to the economy. And I'm like holding this bag like, you've got to be kidding. And it was like toiletries. I think we were going on vacation. It was like toiletries and shit for the kids. Like just mini travel little travel shit.
Yeah, that's wild.
And like a couple of disposable waterproof cameras, dude, $140. And I'm like,
those better be the best photos you've ever taken in your life.
They were actually pretty awesome because it reminded me of like when we were kids and had those cameras.
The wind up.
Yeah, that's what they were. The wind up cameras. And they're so much fun to give to your kids, especially on little trips, because then you get to see the trip through their eyes and what they're taking pictures of. So, I mean, obviously it's worth it. But I'm like, what the hell is in this bag? And you're going to argue that we're not have huge inflation right now on prices on stuff.
Right.
People will still argue it.
People are like, no, the economy's booming, jobs are up, and it's hard to follow that logic because if you look at the Boise area, from what I've been told from business owners, is paying somebody $20 an hour around here is a pretty good wage. But if you look at the price of houses, the price of gas, vehicle, if you were like, I'm going to go get a new truck today, unless it has like literally nothing in it, you're starting at like 70, 80,000.
Yeah.
And a house, you know how the housing market is around here with your wife being a realtor and all that stuff.
It's insane.
For like a double wide, you're like $600K. And then someone's like, cash right now, I'll pay you $50K over. I'll take it.
No waiving home inspections, no sight on scene. Like these guys in California just putting offers on homes. And you're just like, how do you compete with that?
You can't because then you have like the people that grew up here and
just forcing everybody out.
Yeah, they have to move to the outskirts or move out of the state. But it's like, where do you go? Because Tennessee's seeing the same problems, and Texas is seeing the same problems, and it's like, and then that makes me wonder if you dislike California so much, or whatever, New York or whatever other state like that, Washington State is another dump, and it's like, if you don't like that and you move, why are you bringing that mentality,
that logic
with you?
You just fled for a reason. You're fleeing your state because of your living conditions, the education,
homelessness,
the crimes. I mean, now it's like, dude, they just passed a law in California that cops cannot. It's not illegal to run from cops if they're questioning you now. So if you could hide behind a car, and if a cop comes and crashes your car, they legally cannot stop you unless they see you committing a crime, right?
Yeah.
So then these people are like, I don't support this, and then they move, and they bring their values of the reason. You turned your state into an absolute shithole. Don't do that in other states now. Like and that's the problem. Everyone, why do everybody hate everybody from California? It's like you see a California license plate, you're like, motherfuckers. You see
I saw one earlier, and I was like, I don't know. They were speeding, and I was like, man, I hope you get lit up with that plate.
It's just because.
Probably a rental, but whatever.
Exactly. Oh, dude.
That's for a new one.
I had a rental not too long ago, and we literally put a big sticker, and it's a rental, like not from California, just because I don't want people thinking because it's a thing. But I understand why. Like I couldn't even imagine like Houston, San Antonio that has a giant flood of like the hipster crowd of it. At least here we get. I feel like a majority of them are guys that like want to become men, and so they moved to Idaho for that. Yeah. But then the rest of the Californians that are just going to Texas, those are the dudes that aren't going to change at all. At least here, like if you want to like pipe off, your neighbors are going to probably correct you pretty quick, or some kid's going to do a burnout in your yard for flying some stupid flag or something like that. But it's hilarious. Like, at least we kind of police our own, and it hasn't gotten too horrible yet. But it's insane though. Like, this talk to these people's values. Like, we loved it. I'm like, why'd you leave? Oh, the crimes were horrible. But like, I'm still going to vote the same way we were voting.
Yeah,
it's like,
we need to free all the prisoners. Like,
what?
Are you drunk?
Oh, refugees are welcome. Like,
yeah.
Like, okay, then let them in your home.
No, that's the thing, is it's the whole not in my backyard mentality. Like, we all refugees welcome. Okay. Well,
Except
you have an extra
for my backyard.
Yeah, except for my house.
Yeah.
Neighbor, sure, And it doesn't make any logical sense. Like, I've watched videos online where they've like dropped refugees off at people's houses. The guy comes up with a clipboard and he was like, "What do you feel about refugees and them staying here?" And the person's like, "I'm all for it." And they're like, "All right, give me 3." And 3 come out and they're like, "These are going to be staying with you."
Yeah,
and they're like,
that's how it should be.
"No, I don't want." Well, you can't. Which one do you want? Do you want the refugees or not?
Yep.
And they're like, "Well, no, I don't. They're welcome, but just not here."
Yeah.
And that's the problem too, is you get a lot of the people flooding across the border and whatnot, and they're fighting male age.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I have no, and the last guy we just had on, he first generation Mexican, Mexican American. His parents came here on work visas, went the whole 9 yards, ended up getting their citizenship. Dad became a volunteer cop. Mom was a nurse. He's got, obviously first generation, being born here, born in Burley. Done the right way. I'm all for it.
Yeah, there's a way to do it.
I'm all for it.
Difficult. Anybody can do it. Join the military. They'll help you out. The Marine Corps. I mean, there was a couple people that were
I had
not
2 in my
citizens.
platoon.
Yeah.
That's how they got their citizenship. They joined the military.
Right.
I think that should be a requirement. If you're a military-age male or a teenage and you're coming here, and you should have to serve the country you now reside in. Like,
right.
I think that should be 2 years. That doesn't need to be 4 years. But you want to get your citizenship? Cool. You want to fast track it? Here you go.
Yeah.
2-year contract.
Like, my grandpa, he immigrated here after World War II. He was in the Danish resistance fighting against the Nazis. He
Really?
worked, at the Gestapo headquarters in Copenhagen.
Really?
And that's what he was doing. He actually, it was pretty cool. I mean, he passed away, but he gave me the pistol that he carried. And so the weird thing about the Danish resistance is like, his sister was also in it, but you only know one other person in the resistance. And so he had no idea that his sister was in it, and vice versa. But he was working at the Gestapo headquarters.
And they found out later on in life that they were both served under it?
Yeah, they had no idea that they were all in the Danish underground.
They're just like sitting around the campfire one night, a little tuned up, and like, by the way, I got the secret.
Yeah, I got something to tell you. Like, what?
Holy shit, me too.
What? That's cool, man.
I could imagine something like that happening.
Yeah, he was, and it's just, but when he got done with that, he wanted to come to America. So at that time, you had to be sponsored. I don't know if you have to be sponsored now. And so his uncle, who lived in Juneau, Alaska, sponsored him to come over and work construction, because he owned a construction company. Yeah. And so he got on the boat, came across, and then came through Ellis Island, which I went over there, and you can see his name in the books.
That's cool.
Because I wanted to make sure he wasn't stolen valor on that stuff. I had to, fact check my
Had to
grandpa.
fact check your grandpa.
I was like, I don't know, seems pretty sketchy. Okay, checks out.
All right. Valid.
And then he, I think, took a train across the country, I would assume, or maybe a bus. I'm not entirely sure. And then went over to probably Seattle. Then took
That's a long trek from New York to Juneau, Alaska.
And then after that, he actually got drafted by the U.S. Army.
No.
For the Korean War. Like, granted, he didn't have to go to Korea, but he was stationed up in Fairbanks the whole time. So, but he went through the process of getting his citizenship the right way.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't sneak in here. And my grandma, she was a nurse, and then in Canada, and then wanted to immigrate over here. And so she got a job working in Juneau, and she immigrated the right way. And if they can figure it out, and this was before internet information available, nothing.
Exactly.
Like, you could probably just Google how to become a U.S. citizen, and then you click on most likely the first link. Then you read
10-second search.
Yeah, it's not.
Or you could just ask ChatGPT these days, and it'll line everything up for you step by step.
I use that for everything.
Right.
And it's not difficult, but people are not doing it. They're just flooding over the border.
Which I don't want to say I'm all for by any means, but like, if you these military-age males that are coming here to seek asylum.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not.
No.
Where's the family? Where's your wife and kids? Where are the ones that are actually being affected by whatever they're fleeing from?
Mm-hmm.
Not just military-age male. Why are you coming in from China, Japan, all over South America? I mean, it's not just from Mexico. Middle Easterns, Russians. I mean, I have a buddy that has. He's down on the border, and dude, the trail cam pictures he sends me, it's hilarious. Like you're like these are not Hispanic people at all. Like straight up Asians crawling under his fence, and it's like what are they doing here?
Yeah, it's like, why are you here?
It's very interesting to me, and then the fact that like we're just like, oh cool, everybody come on in, but then then if somebody wants to come and do it the right way, it's years.
Right.
Like no shit, no wonder, that's no wonder that's their option.
Yeah, I mean I'm a pretty firm believer of we need a wall.
100%.
And then you break that down, because if you talk to somebody that doesn't believe in the wall, and it's like, okay, well, do you have a fence around your yard?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's different.
Why is it different?
Why is it different? Shouldn't I could just walk in, right? And they're like, oh no, this is private property. And it's like, okay, well, do you lock your door at night? Oh, well, that's different. Once again, it's not different. Like it's just a larger scale fence, like you can't just wander into people's houses.
Yeah.
So why can you just wander into this country?
It's interesting times, man. Very interesting times. And that's why I feel like a lot of these people that are coming over now, it's like I'm a conspiracy. I'm a tin hat person, 100%.
Yeah.
So like I have my theories that there's just these little sleeper cells that are just building and building and building and building.
It wouldn't surprise me if it turned out to be that. I wouldn't. I mean, at this point, like all the conspiracy theories are coming true anyway. So at this point, there's not a whole lot you can tell me where I'm gonna be like, that's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. People are still like talking shit on these conspiracy people, but it's like they're all coming true.
Right. I mean, for example, look at Fauci with his, and people just overlook this stuff. Is they're like, I mean, he was doing that congressional hearing not too long ago, and they're like, what's the deal with the 6 feet? And they're like, oh, we just made it up.
Just made it up.
What's the deal with the masks? Also, just made it up. But people are still like, well, I mean, you still see people wearing masks.
Yesterday, I saw a couple walking, and I would describe them as not on the leaning right. They're definitely
most
leaning
likely not
extreme left.
Pretty much know where someone's voting when they're masked up, and,
with blue and purple hair.
Yeah.
And just look like they're off the yeah. Anyways, I saw them, and I'm like, we're still doing this.
Yeah, I still see people on the planes masked up, and I'm like, you're breathing through the mask. Explain to me how that helps.
Even if I didn't fall for any of it for 1 second. Not the second all this came out, my wife turned to me and she's like, "Where are we at with them?" I'm like, "It's all fake. Don't believe it." And she's like, "How do you know?" And I'm like, if they're reporting the amount of numbers of people dying in China and Wuhan or whatever, and there's these thousands and thousands of people, I was like, "Hun, you have to remember, what are they doing with bodies? What are they doing with the body? Nobody's set up to deal with thousands." I'm like, now with day and age, with phones, technology, cameras, they're talking about just the hot piles of people in hospitals. The hallways are full. I'm like, where's the footage?
Yeah.
Now, if you show me hospitals hucking bodies out the back door into a mound and it's spreading across the country, and there's cities that are crumbling and people are dying in the streets, okay, we got an issue. But like now with the technology, like where was the footage? And that's why I was like, I'm not buying any of this. Like none of it added up at all to me at any point. Like it just was mind-boggling of how people's minds instantly went to fear.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how you can control. I mean,
everything is safety, safety, safety. We're doing this for your safety. And it's like, oh, okay. Which takes away your rights.
It does. And because when you're putting, because, the job I was working at the time, we jumped on the mask train and started selling the shittiest mask you've ever dealt with in your life. We would have people calling like, I need 100 of them right now, like screaming at us on the phone. And we're a camo company, like we're an outdoor, but we jumped on it. This is a way to capitalize. Like, welcome to America, right? Everybody did
camo mask. You can wear it hunting. Cool.
Goes with your pattern, right?
Yeah, bro, you're in the woods.
But the fact of, well, it was just, but these people, everything was sold out. But,
you couldn't get anything.
Couldn't get them anywhere. So people were just searching, and obviously they'd find, and the panic, I felt every day I'd go home, I'm like, God, man, like, these people are freaking out. I'm talking, my grandma's going to die. I need a mask. Well, how quick can we have them? And like, we didn't even have these things in stock. They're like getting made as we're selling them. And then people are freaking out because they're ordering. It was the craziest eye opener. I was like, honey, like, listen, look how these people are acting over a mask. That is all bullshit. Because you see in the videos of a dude hitting a vape pen, puts a mask on and blows it out. I'm like,
yeah, or the bands where they're playing like the clarinet with the mask on, but they got the hole cut in. I'm like, why?
So I have to wear it walking through your restaurant.
Yeah.
This is my biggest thing, and Chris probably hears me all the time with this, is my biggest thing that I say is I live by. Make it make sense.
People can't.
I have to walk through this restaurant with a mask on, but as soon as I sit down, I'm good to take my mask off.
I asked the same question. So I'm safe in this booth. This is a COVID-free booth, but to get here, COVID is all over the place. But as soon as I enter this booth with a couple of plexiglass panels, I could breathe freely. And the people over there are coughing. And then you had people wearing the gloves. And then you'd see them at whatever store, Walmart, and they'd be touching the box. Then they would rub their face and then put the box back and then grab another box and then sneeze in their hand, put the box back. And I'm like, that is counterproductive to what you're trying to do. Yeah, and then you look at,
make sense.
I mean, for your conspiracy theory thing, you look at like the worst pandemic ever, is what they called it, and then all of a sudden the miracle cure is just, we got it.
Months, like 2 months later, a couple months later.
Yeah, like already ready to go for market. And
that was the weirdest thing to me, because like even if I wasn't an anti-vaxxer at that point, like and the reason, we have a good reason why we're anti-vax, and for our family is my oldest, when she ended up getting a shot, when we were younger parents, she ended up getting a routine vaccine shot for school, and the next day or the day after, she ended up having a grand mal seizure, and she was locked up for like 9.5 minutes from when my wife called to when the ambulance showed up at the house. She was in a full seizure the whole time. They said it was like just over 9 minutes. So we ended up in Chalk Children's Hospital, like during Christmas Eve. Like, it was a shit time. And my wife, she was like, and the doctors never gave us an answer. They did all the scans, they did everything. And they were like, sometimes the brain has a hiccup. And my wife, to this day, she's like, it was the vaccine. 100% it was. She's like, tell me why a healthy child
had a hiccup.
No issues, no history on either side of the whatever.
Yeah.
All of a sudden has a grand mal seizure where we're at Chalk Children's Hospital for days doing scans, and I mean, everything. It was horrible.
And there's cause and effect. Like if I take a fifth of Jack Daniels and I pound it, and then I'm laying on the floor like in my own vomit, we're not going to be like,
what caused this?
Yeah, how did this happen? Yeah. This is so strange.
So that was our aha moment to vaccines then. And so obviously having a second child, we were like, nope, we're done with everything. And, my wife, she's just one of those, she gets down rabbit holes like I'm sure most of them do. And she was like, absolutely not, we're done. And then all of a sudden when this came out, she was the one who was like, because I had an opportunity to go to Alaskan on a grizz hunt. It was a cancellation, because the world was at shit then. And so this guy was like, dude, I'll just give it to you at cost. Like, just come kill a bear. I need somebody up here. But I had to get vaccinated.
Nope.
And my wife was like, her exact words were, if you get vaccinated, I'm fucking divorcing you over a bear hunt. And I was like, it's my dream though. And she's like, I swear to God, if you put that in your body, we're done. And I was like, that's the only time she's ever threatened me with it. Is because I was trying to go, actually it was Alaska. Where it was East Coast, or West Coast. But yeah, it was one of those things, and I was like considering, I was trying to like see how to get like my fake card and all that stuff. Yeah. But it was just one of those things, like it didn't make sense. Right. None of it made sense.
I mean, I have kind of like a similar story. I was planning on doing a bear hunt in Alaska, and the family member that I had contacted, we'd been planning it, and then at one point they said, yeah, this is great, because I was like, I bought my ticket, these are the dates, let's do it. And then they told me no vaccine, no hunt. My response was no hunt.
Yep.
And that was that. Like, I mean, I lost my 6-figure job making really good money working from home, because I was like, something seems suspect here, so I didn't take the jab. And then
So even though you're working from home, they still wanted you to get the shot?
Yeah. It was because we were traveling onto like military bases and whatnot. And I was like, no, not doing it. And so, and then I know people that were like, I make $30K a year and this is a really good job and I can't afford to lose it. So I'm going to get the shot. And I was like, why don't you just find a better job that pays, I don't know.
I mean, I get that. I mean, especially if you live in one of these rural areas where your average income's 30, 40 grand a year. I mean, I don't get it, but I can see, hey, if that was my living conditions and that's what I had to do to provide for my family, it would be an absolute last resort. I don't want to say I feel for them or get it, but like you talk to these guys who are in the military, like, oh yeah, I got back. I'm like, why? Like I had to.
My heart's racing though, and I don't get it. Like, I had a heart attack yesterday. I feel great. It's like, what?
Well, my biggest thing was like, I'm like, you got the vaccine. They're like, I had to.
No, you didn't.
You don't. Says who? Well, I had to for my job. Nope. I mean, unless like,
confused.
Obviously, like for guys like, I mean, I can go and I can find something to replace some income if I absolutely had to. But I could, like I said, like these guys that live in rural America and they're lucky they work some coal mine or something like that. And
bro, they're in a coal mine. They got bigger problems.
Yeah. I mean, this is a bad example, but you know, some guy that works at a freaking paper mill or something, McDonald's, right? It's some podunk ass town in the middle of nowhere. And that's it. Right. I get it. I understand.
I still have a tough time with it because
I do too.
I'll 100% walk away.
Oh,
like if they're like, if you don't do this, you're gonna be fired. Well, you better start filling out the paperwork now because I'm out.
Like, I mean, I'm with you. I try to sympathize for the people that just didn't have an option, but at the end of the day, like
you always have an option though.
You do,
unless there's a gun to your head and they're like, you are taking this, and then you can come to work tomorrow. Like your option can be no. I mean, you still have an option technically.
Yeah.
You know, you might not see tomorrow, but there's always an option. Like there's always somebody out there that will hire you. There's always a job, no matter what. You might have to leave your podunk town that you grew up in, which might be good for you. But
then you look at all these guys in the military that got the shot, right? Mm-hmm. Are those the ones that'll stay in and defend the military when they like implement martial law in this, when this country, if anything ever happened? Are those the ones that stay and defend it because they're doing their job?
Yeah,
or
the CO said we got to do it, so we're doing it. Like. And that's generally why they want young guys in the military because they're not going to think things through. They're like, well, we got to get it done because the sergeant said to do it. And it's like, well, why are you doing it? I was told to. Okay. Like, what? You know, this is dumb. Why? It doesn't even make any sense.
Military, man.
Yeah.
Military. Mm-hmm. That was my biggest problem. I was always in trouble. It's because I questioned everything.
That very hard to believe.
Yeah, right. I questioned everything. Like ever from the start. Like, why are we doing that? Shut the fuck up. Okay, well, I'm just want to know why. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I mean that was.
If you literally just like adopt that like mentality, for anything, for anything. I mean, we'll go and do something like that doesn't make any sense. Like.
Yeah, why are we doing it this way?
We're so hard on pushing that on our kids. Like if you have to question it, doesn't make sense. Use your judgment.
Yeah, if something seems off.
It's off.
There's probably a good reason.
It's off for a reason. Yeah.
If you got that gut feeling that says I probably should not be doing this, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Or if somebody can't just explain, give you a basic definition of why or good reason why, not what we feel or this is it or this is how we've always curve or this is how we've always done it.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. That's how you've always done it. Great. That's not how I've always done it.
Right.
Make it make sense.
There's an easier way to do this, and we're not doing it that way.
Exactly.
You know, and that's one of the biggest problems I think with the Marine Corps.
So, okay, let's get into that. We kind of went on a fucking tangent there for a second.
Yeah.
Where were we? Juneau, Alaska. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So joining the Marine Corps. Let's get into why you joined.
Yeah, so I joined in 2001, and I'd always kind of just wanted to be a Marine.
Yeah.
And I sucked at school. I was terrible at it because I didn't care.
Yep.
And so my grades were, like, terrible.
Marines were perfect.
Yeah. They were like, oh, you're dumb?
Come on in.
We got a job for you.
Come on in.
Water purification.
Did you go open contract or did you sign up for water purification?
I signed up for combat engineer.
Okay.
But the way it breaks down is it's either UT/CM or CM/UT, which at 17, why would I know what any of that is? And so they sold it to me.
You mean to tell me your recruiter didn't break this down for you?
This is where the podcast derails because it's all lies now that a recruiter lied to me. And so I'm thinking, like, I'm watching the VHS at the time to date myself. I'm like, man, this is awesome. And there's like a little excerpt of combat engineers running out and
building bridges and blowing stuff up.
Minefields. And I was like, oh, man, that's going to be really cool.
Yep.
And so, went to boot camp. How
was boot camp? So this is
2001.
Okay, how was boot camp, and what was like the atmosphere like?
I would assume it's probably a lot more not like today's boot camp.
Yeah, right. So you joined out of Juneau, so you're a San Diego Marine.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Went to San Diego. I actually went through a recruiting station in Montana.
Oh, okay.
But I went to San Diego, took the bus ride over, got out, yellow footprints, went to a receiving barracks for, I don't know, I think it was like 4 or 5 days. It kind of all blends together.
Oh, really? Yeah, it does. It 100% does.
And then kicked off boot camp, and I don't really know how to describe it, because it's like everybody's experience is different.
Sure. How was yours?
It was terrible, but it was fun. Like, I
you're
enjoyed
a big
it.
Dude, so were you like did they put you like a squad leader or a guide position at all? Because
I was a squad leader.
Yeah,
I graduated as a squad leader. Towards the end, but it's like, God, how many times did you get a new squad leader? That was like every day. There's like, you're done, get out of here. Yeah. You're up. It's like whatever. The gear was completely different. Like the stuff that we had was just pure crap compared to what they have now. The range was iron sights.
That's crazy to me to think that these kids are shooting ACOGs now.
Yeah, they got that RCO with, I think it's 3X.
Yeah.
So
they're still unking on the range.
Yeah, they're like, I don't get it. And it's like, bro, you have a scope, literally. Like, and so for me, like, this was kind of probably one of the hardest parts of boot camp for me was I was like target 36, whatever the number was. And so there's 50 targets on the range, and then there's the center line, so 1 through 25, and then
you don't want to be on 50.
Oh, I was right in the middle of the 26 through 50, and I remember every shot I had to count from the left to the right because it all looked the same to me. And I was like, I'm so fucked. So I'd be like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Line it up.
Yes, dude, I haven't thought about this in forever. Yeah. You were so right about that.
Yeah, and I was like, man, because you're stressed out. The DIs are yelling at you. Well, it's supposed to be unstressful, but okay.
And then you shoot the wrong target.
Yeah, they're like, unfortunately, I never shot the wrong target because like the only thing. Like, my main goal of boot camp was to shoot expert.
Yep.
That's like what I wanted.
Yep.
And so I did. It wasn't like high expert. I didn't remember what the score was. It's not like it's on my business card.
Yeah,
like,
right.
High expert. They're like, what is that?
First award, by the way.
Can't really talk about it, but yeah, it's legit. And so that was like the goal. So I got it. I obtained it. But man, it was a pain in the ass. But like those guys that were like target 1, target 25,
Easy.
Target 26, target 50. You're like, your target is the far right, far left, or one of the two in the middle.
Yep.
But people still mess it up.
For sure.
They're incompetent or whatever, perfect for the Marine Corps type deal. Like
the rifle range to me was one of the best parts of boot camp. There's a buddy of mine, there's 4 of us that all went through boot camp, and we went to MCT, and we deployed together, like all of us, all the way through pretty much the first 4 years of our career. Well, his name's Jeff, and he was a good shot. And so I had already qualled expert. Actually, I take this back. This wasn't boot camp. We were all in boot camp together. This was in the fleet. So I'd already qualified expert before even going to the 500-yard line. Like shooting was like the best part for me. Well, I had all these extra rounds, because I'd already qualified, so I knew I was good. And Jeff was sitting he was the target next to me. And so every time his target would start to come off, I would rip around at his target. Like, I'm talking as it's coming out of the pits, I'm already cracking a shot off. Yeah. So his target would come up, and it would go straight back down, and I would hear him just like, what the hell? He's down there screaming. He's like, my target's down. So I'm burning his time because he's not. Every time it would come up, it was a fucking center mass shot. So my 2 buddies behind us, they're like pissing their pants, dying, laughing. And so every time I time it just right, as soon as I saw that head crack the berm, I just rip a round off, punch it, and it would just come up, go straight back down. I shot my whole 500 yard, and my target didn't go down once. I shot his whole entire 500.
Yeah, there's no pit love in boot camp.
No, we don't know what that is yet.
Actually, like one of the craziest things that happened to me in boot camp is, when you take the bus from San Diego up north.
Okay.
Well,
to Pendleton. I mean, I know of it. I'm a real Marine. I was Parris Island, so
much respect. Thank you for your service, by the way.
You know what? Yeah. You were worth it.
Semper Fi, brother.
Yeah. Hey,
Semper
you know what?
Fi.
You were worth it.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you've done for my service.
Parris Island, bro. I'm just saying. Just saying.
I don't know, man. We had hills. You had bugs. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll take the hills any day because I'm a bug magnet. If there was a mosquito within like 100 miles, I'd be like, we need to go that way.
Yeah.
That dude's over there. He's got some of that good blood.
Oh, sand fleas are miserable.
I couldn't even. I had to deal with those in dive school. That was terrible.
They're horrible.
But the boot
craziest
camp
experience.
So we're doing the bus ride up, right? So
the bus ride from San Diego to Camp Pendleton.
MCRD San Diego to Edson Range.
Yep.
And it's the Bluebird bus. DI sitting in the front. He's got they had weapons at the time with ammo.
Yep.
In case, I don't know, someone hijacked our bus, which they'd be like, this bus smells like shit.
Yeah, a bunch of retards on this bus.
He's not even dressed right. And so I remember the ride up. I'm just sitting there because they said, everyone put your heads down. I think I missed that part. So I'm just sitting there in the back.
Just always one.
Just looking around, like looking at cars. And the drill instructor is yelling at the guy in front of me. He's like, whatever your name is, put your head down. And I was like, why won't that guy just put his head down? And I'm just, so for the whole ride, just ignoring everything this drill instructor is saying. So we get off the bus, and he was like, oh, it was you, motherfucker. Dude, he smoked me for probably hours. And he was like, get yourself a buddy. So I grabbed my buddy, And
was it your actual buddy? Or
this
was man, you were buddy. That dude.
He was right there. I didn't have time to,
You always have time to find somebody else.
There was no time. This is the level of fuck I was in. And so he started ITing us in the pit, and this was in the H-style barracks.
Yeah.
And so then he would be like, you have 20 seconds to get to the other pit. And of course, he was able to cheat and walk through the middle. We had to run around. So we'd get to the other pit, not in time, and he would just smoke us over there, and then back over to the other side, then back over to this went on for a long time. And then finally he was like, I'm covered, we're sugar cookied out, covered in sand, just caked on, dripping sweat. I still remember my buddy's face from this. He looked like a family member had died. His name was Heflin. I haven't talked to him at all since then.
He probably hasn't talked to you at all.
Which doesn't make any sense, I don't understand why he hasn't hit me up. And then the DI was like, get me 2 more bodies. And everybody heard this, and they're like, I've seen what's going on. Fuck that. Heflin and I grabbed 2 other recruits. I don't even remember who they were. And we drug them out to the pit and threw them in it. And the DI just thrashed the living shit out of them. And I was just like, that was probably the craziest thing. Other than the worst thing that we did in boot camp was they turned on all the hot water in the rain room.
Yes.
Not a shower, but a rain room. And we had scuzz brushes in each hand, and then we were doing squats while scuzzing the wall.
And scalding hot water.
You couldn't see to the other side of the rain room.
Yeah.
And you're just pouring. We're wearing clothes, so we're fully dressed during this. Just dripping sweat. The steam is terrible. And then he would have us do little circles, big circles, squat down. We're holding it while doing this.
Counterclock, clockwise.
Yep. 1 arm, 2. I was just terrible. This went on for a long time. And
we were doing the exact same shit. And I had, shocker, I'm on the drill instructor's radar, right? This dude had my number. But anyways, he grabs me, just yanks me by my throat. He was like, come with me. And everybody's running it and cleaning. It was actually for field day, but I was shower detail and scalding hot water. We're doing the same shit. He snatches me up. And I was like, what the fuck I do? Doing what I'm told.
No.
Leave me alone.
Nope, you're being you.
100%. Takes me outside, thrashes me in the sand pit, and then makes me fill every pocket that I can fill full of sand.
That's like stuff that we do in the Marine Corps. Like, could you imagine if you're at
a civilian, like getting treated like this?
Job, and you're like, okay, dipshit, you want to be late? Good to go.
Want to be late? Let's go. Get out
outside.
to the pit.
You know?
Get outside now.
In a blanket right now. And they're like, what is happening? You're like, okay, good to go. Take your desk, set it up outside. Okay, get back. They'd be like, what?
Exactly.
And to us, I'd be like, okay,
let's do it.
We'll set up the podcast in the parking lot, and then we'll bring it back in, and then we'll set it back out, and it's like,
you didn't do it fast enough. Do it again.
Get back, do it again.
Well, this dude makes me, with all of my pockets full of sand, run. You know, you can't ever cut across parking lots, so you have to run.
No, it's too
the
long.
whole edge of the parking lot, and you know, obviously, if they just walk across the parking lot and beat you, you have to come back. So we did this several times. So I have every pocket full of sand, and I'm standing at the stairs. We're on the third deck.
Yeah.
And he's like, get in the showers now. And I knew, God. As soon as he said that, I knew it. So I run upstairs. And you know how the bottom of your cargo pants, like, had those little
holes in it so the water could leak out.
Well, the sand is just, and we're field daying the squad base. So now I'm running. He's, dude, just slaying me in the squad base. And there's just sand, like a time, like an hourglass.
Yeah.
Just
of your pockets.
Everything, dude. Yeah. And so then I finally get into the showers, and he's like, empty your pockets. And everybody, I'll never forget this look. Dude, I can close my eyes and see it. Everyone, it's just steam. Every shower's full blast. Everyone, the kids in there that are recruits, I guess, are standing with these scuzz brushes. And they're all staring, like literally, like looking at me, like,
does this dude just bring in
like,
fucking dirt?
You fucking do it. And he's like, empty your pockets.
It.
And he's behind me, and I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
And he's like, throw it. And he makes me just start hucking sand everywhere. And all these kids are just, I'm like, I am going to get my ass beat. And he takes me out there, and dude, I did this like 3 or 4 times. And by the time he got done slaying me, they had everything kind of washed down and cleaned up, and I'd come right back in again. And
he's back.
This shit, I'd come back in. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, just looking at him like, it's not my fault.
It's 100% Marine Corps.
Yeah, 100% boot camp. And it was one of those things. I love boot camp stories, and you hear other Marines like, oh, you got a boot camp. Like, it was one of the greatest times looking back at it. I didn't know how long an aerosol can goes for. I had to run in circles with 2 potpourri bottles in the squad bay. Do you know how long those motherfuckers
Probably
last?
A long time.
Dude, I was smoked, like drenched.
Yeah.
And then I'd come to him like, sir, this recruit's out. And he's like, bullshit. He's like, I bet you they're not. I was like, sir, it's okay. Like, you don't argue. I'm like, okay. Like,
like you're an idiot.
And I didn't like, once they just ran out, like that was it. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. These are no more. They're just out. This dude shakes them, kicks them, spikes them down the fucking hallway. They go all the way to the end. I go and fetch them for him, come back. And this dude gets like his fingernail and pushes it in, and it goes, he goes,
you're done.
Wasn't empty. Go get 2 more. And I was like, motherfucker.
You can't win.
Dude, all day I ran in circles with potpourri, and I could never, because he would just shake them up. Like, he's slamming them off the ground. And if they made the slightest noise, and I didn't have, like, I'm literally like hiding behind, in between racks and wall lockers, like, like trying to like jam shit. I'm trying to break the lid off so he can't get anything out. And this dude would go and get anything he could to make it make a noise. And it all day.
Yeah,
all day I ran around in circles with a potpourri, just screaming the Marine Corps hymn as I ran around in the stupid ass squad bay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you guys used Bulldog to clean literally everything.
Everything.
And that, like that's a smell that.
Did you guys use Aqua Velva?
God, I have no idea. We might have.
You would know. It was the body cologne. It was the blue bottle, Aqua Velva, like that. You would know. You didn't use them then if you did.
I have no idea. I remember the Bulldog, because they would take us to the exchange to buy like the dumbest shit ever, deck towels, brushes, and I'm like, I would never buy any of this on my own.
Yeah.
Cases of Bulldog, which smells like your eyes are burning.
Is it a cologne? Was it a cologne? Maybe that was your version.
I think they call it. It's a smell good.
See, so ours was Aqua Velva. So we'd put it in. I think that's what you called it. Was Aqua Velva. You put it in the water when you're mopping. It just made everything.
Bulldog for everything.
Yeah. So okay.
I
so
still
our
use it
version
to this day.
Do you really?
No, God no. Like my buddy and I joke about it. Like, I mean, if you came home and the wife was like, "Why the fuck are my eyes burning? You'd be like, bulldog, you know, like it's terrible. It doesn't smell good.
Yeah, nothing.
But whoever secured that contract is rich, because every damn recruit that comes through there, they're like, here's the list of what you're buying. Everybody here is going to buy 15 bottles of Bulldog. And you're there every week, every platoon. And they're like,
your money.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, you're with your Eagle Cash card or whatever it was, you know? And you're like, yeah, dude, I've got some. Then you get out of boot camp and you're like, I don't have any money.
Yeah.
It's because you invested all of it in Bulldog,
Gillette
razors. Yeah. Like that Gillette contract. They're like, okay, yeah, we'll take this.
We'll take that.
Green towels that cover nothing.
I know.
Like you running through the squad bay, like holding your green towel on the shittiest shower shoes that like are not staying together. It's just,
I don't know how many dudes I saw fall like
every night.
In their, I'm talking feet overhead and landing on the back of their head coming out of the bathroom
every night, because the floor is soaking wet, and then you're running around in these shower shoes that are so cheaply made, and they're terrible. And yeah, they're like, oh, I wonder why he fell. You know,
dude, we had this drill instructor. He was new. We picked him up like halfway through.
Something to prove type of guy.
Oh my God, he was the worst. This dude. He was born straight from a hemorrhoid out of Lucifer's asshole. This dude was evil, and I swear, I think they briefed him, because the second he stepped in that squad bay, he was like, Psh! It just.
Where's Marshall? I need him right now.
100%.
Where's the aerosol guy?
Fuck. So we got done field daying. We got done doing a run, like a PFT. So we all showered really quick. You just run through the shower. You remember those? You just run through the shower.
What is this? You know?
One's scalding hot, one's freezing. So you're like trying to dodge like this molten fucking lava water squirting out of these things.
Or when you do get to shower, they're telling you like what body part to scrub. So you're just standing there just doing this until they tell you to do another body part. And you're
just
like,
raw.
Yeah, the only thing that's clean is my forearm, because I've been here for 45 minutes scrubbing my forearm with some crap soap. And it's like, you look at that,
this
like
is the realest shit though. Like this is how it happens.
I tell my dad like stories from boot camp, and he just looks at me like, "There's no way any of that is real."
Bro,
and I'm like, "It is real."
This guy, he had a bottle of Listerine and a bottle of Aqua Velva.
Double threat.
And he was supposed to, after, because I think the battalion commander was going to come through and do like a health and wellness inspection, like whatever. This dude switched the bottles, and so he would walk up, and you had to stand at attention, and you had to eyes wide open, mouth open, and you were standing there ready for him to squirt Listerine in your mouth, and then he would squirt your chest with Aqua Velva.
Oh my God!
This sadistic fuck switched him, so you're getting cologne.
Delicious.
And he just blasting you on laser mode. Straight in your freaking face. Like it's in your eye. Yeah. And then he just he would spray Listerine on your body.
You smell minty fresh while your eyes are burning.
There's literally recruits like rolling on the ground because they just took a face full of cologne straight to the eyeball in laser mode.
Yeah.
And he got like 3/4 of the way down. And it's one of my best friends, Chris. I was just with him in Alaska. He's next. he moves to him. And you're like trying to, and he would be like, he would wait. He'd be like, open your eyes, bitch.
Yeah.
And you'd like squint a little bit. He's like, more. And as soon as he got to the level where he thought it was, he didn't know it was coming. So nobody can prepare for this cologne in your face. And right as he goes to spray my rack mate, all you hear is drill instructor, and he looks and he's like, the senior like corrected him, and he's like, I think you have those switched wrong, or he said something creative.
Oh, he knew. That senior knew. He was like, we'll see how.
And he's like, oh, and he switched it, and I was like, and so, but still, you're taking a face full of Listerine.
Yeah, it's not much better.
It wasn't much better, and he finished, and he was just like, it's just like he knew what he was doing, but dude, just blasting kids in the face with cologne and just watching them freak out. I mean,
sadistic shit that goes like we had a mouse die in the squad bay. So we put on a fucking funeral for this thing for like an hour. Yeah. Like people had to come up and say something nice.
A word?
Yeah, someone had to say something nice about this mouse. And like we had a 21 gun salute. Like it was just wild.
They're creative. Drill instructors are some of the most creative, sadistic people on the planet.
Yes.
I had a buddy of mine. He said that they had a wall locker and they cut the back out of it. And so they would push it, and he would have his recruits lock him in it at night. He would everything, typical drill instructors, everything's perfect on them. And he said he would have his recruits lock them in at night inside of their little duty hut, and then that he'd put the kids to bed. Whoever was on duty on fire watch would lock the lock in the wall locker. Well, as soon as they would go and close the door, he'd wait a little bit and he'd push the whole wall locker away from the wall because the back came off of it.
Yeah.
And he would get out and he would go home. And then the next morning, he said he would unlock that motherfucker, get back in and scoot it back up. And he's like, those kids would come in and unlock it every morning, and he'd be standing there, everything pressed, covered in a line.
Dude,
yeah, and he's like, just the games you play on them. Like, we had
the mental games.
The mental, dude. You know what sucked for me? The worst part. There's two worst parts of boot camp for me. The absolute worst was getting my hair cut. Buzz in your head.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I had a sensitive scalp where this was even a thing until I went to boot camp, and they're just ripping the hair out. And to me, I dreaded getting my hair cut. And every single night of boot camp, every night, I had fire watch at midnight. Every night.
Oh, that's rough.
They would literally like, scribe, and the kid was like, yes, sir. He'd be like, Marshall, 0-0. And I'd be like, every night. I never got one night, full night's sleep at boot camp. And all these kids, like, there was kids that went through the whole entire fucking boot camp and never had fire watch once. And I had it every single night.
I don't think I really, I was cool with the scribe.
See,
so I was like rarely on fire watch.
Oh, every night. And I was on watch one night with my best friend. He was my rack mate. We were both on watch. It was right toward the end. We're getting ready to graduate. And we have all the rifles are locked on the racks. And I look up, and there's this guy standing at the end of the squad bay by the bathroom. Because in Paris Island, you could walk through from the bathrooms, would go to the other series. You could walk to the other building through the bathrooms and stuff. We never did, but that's where the drill instructors would go through.
Drill instructor highway, I believe is what they call that.
Yeah, exactly. I look up, and there's this massive figure standing in the shadows. And I'm like snap to attention, do my report. Well, some captain. And he's like, shut your fucking mouth. Don't say anything. I was like, Jesus, what the hell's going on? And we're in third phase now. You got your blouse boots and you feel all big and special. This dude, I'll never forget, his arms were like the size of someone's, like a NFL player's thighs. Like this dude was massive. One of the biggest Marines at that time I've ever seen. And he walked up to every lock and cable and just ripped. Boom. And he'd go to the next one. Boom. And dude, this dude popped like 6 locks. And he would just undo the lock, throw it on the ground, and I had to follow him. And he'd pull the rifle off the rack, and he'd hand it to me. And I'd just sling it, and he'd go to the next one. Pow! Boom! And he'd crack. And dude, I had like shoulders full of rifles.
Yeah.
And I had to go report to the drill instructor that they weren't secure.
Oh my God. And
I'm like, and now it's in the middle of the night. We're literally like, I think we're days away from graduating.
Not anymore.
And I'm getting fucking hazed for not having a secured rifle locks. And I'm trying to explain, like, this gorilla just came in here and ripped shit open. Like,
like,
because it's our duty as the fire watch to like check and make sure everything's locked. I'm like, this is bullshit. I mean, that was just.
Yeah, win it.
Dude, I'll never forget. Like, boot camp was the greatest time. There's so many memories from that are created from that time that you look back on it and you're like, God, you're some creative sons of bitches.
Yeah, it is a wild time. Plus, you can meet any Marine.
Yeah.
And talk about it, and it's like
and laugh, and everybody.
Like, did you know that person? You're like, never met him in my life. Ever. My
wife says that all the time. She didn't know him. I'm like, nope, never met him in my life. She's like, what the hell? I'm like, Marine.
Yeah. People don't get it. Like you watch videos online of Air Force boot camp. You're like, no, that doesn't look bad at all.
I just saw a video yesterday of these guys and these Air Force guys yelling at these kids. And I literally, like, I look back, I'm like, if that was me, I would have been like, who are you? What? But like, dude, tell me, I mean, I don't know how it was for you, but like we landed in whatever airport, I don't even remember what airport we landed in to go to boot camp. And I'll never forget, like, them stacking us, nut to butt, nose on the back of a kid's head. And there's some kid's got his nose on the back of my neck, and I could feel him breathing. And I was like, what the fuck did I get myself into?
Yeah.
That was my first, like, I should have done some research.
Yeah, I think I fucked up.
Yeah. Which, talking to a lot of Marines, no one at that era did any research. I mean, obviously, you had some gung-ho, like hardcore, like JROTC kids and a couple of those, but like for the most part, everyone's like, I just want to be a Marine. I just joined. And then you get there and you're like,
your research was going to the library and checking out a book that somebody wrote on the Marine Corps.
And talking to some asshole recruiter that's just lying to you, telling you how many women you're going to have and drink all over the country, all over the world and shoot machine guns.
All you're going to do is travel, shoot guns, and blow stuff up. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty damn good to me. And then fast forward to boot camp, and I was like, this doesn't quite seem like what the brochure.
Dude, my buddy's little brother, he joined after us because we got to do, they called them a tiger mew. Like when we were coming back from Iraq, we stopped in Hawaii, and you could have loved ones fly into Hawaii, and they could take the ship from Hawaii back to San Diego.
Why would you want to do that?
They get the experience.
No, I know that. Like as a family member, you get on that. It's not.
It was pretty cool because the Navy does, like, they shoot the Sea Whiz, like that machine, you know.
Yep.
I don't know what they call them now. I think there's a different name from them, but, you know, the giant Gatling gun Sea Whiz. But
like, what are their accommodations?
They were sleeping in the barracks and stuff, or in the squad, in the berthings with us. Like I think the dads and some of the other ones, but we had some like brothers and stuff that came on, and my buddy's little brother came on. Dude, we put him on fire watch every night. Like, this kid's a civilian, and we literally on the fire watch list was Kevin Botenhagen. Like, we wrote this kid's name on the list and made him stand fire watch in our berthing, and he's just some civilian kid.
Has no authority to do anything. He's just like, I let him into the armory. They asked me to open the door, so I did.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
So this kid ends up joining boot camp, and dude, we sent this kid.
Oh no.
We put boxes together, care packages, which if you ever want to absolutely destroy, at least I don't know if they do it now, but
they're still doing it. I've heard stories.
Bro, we wrote on the boxes like, your drill sergeant can't be that mean. Like, and then we were making them cookies. We were doing we would just send envelopes full of confetti. Just
because they open it right there.
And then when they feel something in it, you have to open it. And he was writing us letters like to my buddy, like, please stop. Please, this isn't fun. Like, you guys are making this horrible for me. And we'd be like, hope it's getting better. Your drill instructors can't be that horrible to you. Like, we would we were writing this on the outside of the box. So
they have to see it.
We're setting boxes of cookies, and they said they made him. We put like Worcestershire sauce and half a thing of salt inside of these, and they said they made him sit there and eat like the whole entire container.
I believe it.
Of these cookies. My buddy would just call me like, "Oh, I got another letter. He's pretty miserable," and so we would send him all kinds of stuff this whole entire boot camp.
No thanks.
Yeah,
I didn't get anything like that. Thank God.
No,
I wasn't really a gray man. I said something smart ass to the drill instructor like day 2.
Yeah.
So I was on a radar pretty damn quick. I don't even remember what I said, but he said something and I made a smart ass comment, and then he just proceeded to absolutely destroy my life for the rest. And I was like, note to self, keep my mouth shut.
Bro, that's how I've never learned that even to this day. I mean, it doesn't matter. I fight the system. Like, no matter what it is. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to just be me. And I learned so many lessons.
Hard way.
Yeah, I learned a lot of hard
lessons. And it never benefits me.
It doesn't, dude. It never does. But I think some of us are just wired like that. It doesn't matter. I'm always going to that's just like, no matter what. Like, I see these little kids and stuff every now and then. It's like, well, don't put your finger in it. You're going to get electrocuted. And like,
here I am touching it.
100% me.
Yeah. I mean, I'll learn maybe after like the 5th or 6th time.
Or if it cost me a lot of money or it was a lot of pain and almost killed myself, I'm like, okay.
Expensive lessons stick real quick.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm constantly dealing with one of those. There's always something. So.
Fortunately, I'm pretty good at avoiding those. I'm like, this could be expensive.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, maybe
I've learned in my days. But yeah, so boot camp was definitely an interesting time. So after you end up finding out you're a water
purification.
Did you know this going in, or do you still think you're an engineer at this point?
I was telling everybody, like my buddies at boot camp, like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a combat engineer. And they're like, dude, that's cool. Me too. And I was like, hell yeah, we're going to do fun stuff together. So then, graduated boot camp, and then after that went home on leave, and then 9/11 hit when I was like literally on a plane in Seattle.
Oh, no shit.
So I spent, God, was it a week? Maybe 10 days, like living in the SeaTac airport at the USO.
Really?
Yeah. And finally,
how many days?
It was like 7 or 10 days. It was a long time.
Gross.
Yeah. And just living at the USO, eating their like terrible.
Why were you stuck there?
I was a E1, E2 in the Marine Corps. Like, where am I going? You know what I mean? Like, I called whoever the duty was at MCT and told him, like, I will not be checking in when my orders say I need to be there. I can't get a flight.
Oh, okay. So you couldn't even go home or anything.
Nothing. I was living in SeaTac airport. Like, there was nowhere to go. It was like the airport was dead. There was the only people that were in there was some of the
because they halted all flights.
Members. Yeah, they kicked everybody out of the airport. So there was National Guard walking around. But I'm telling you, it was a ghost town. Like, I could go downstairs and just walk anywhere in the airport and not see anybody. If you go to SeaTac now, that is not the case.
Really?
Yeah. And so then finally, when like the planes started moving and I was able to get on a flight, flew into San Diego and then took, I don't know, a bus or whatever, and went to MCT, checked in, went through that, and it was really stupid. And I remember we were sitting in these bleachers, and they're reading off like everybody's MOS. And so they finally got to the R's, and they were like, Private Ritter, 1171. And I was like, that's not what I was fucking told from the beginning. 1171. I was like, what the fuck is that? So I went, and there was a sergeant standing down there. And I was like, excuse me, Sergeant, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, what the fuck do you want? And I was like, what's an 1171? He was like, you see those porta-shitters over there? I was like, yes, Sergeant. He's like, you're going to be fucking pumping those for the rest of your career to get the fuck out of my face. And then at that point, I was like, man, fuck this shit. Like, it was.
That is the most Marine response, too.
Yeah, it was. I was like, what? You can't talk to me like that, And I was like, this is how my Marine Corps career is starting off. Like, fuck this. And then I got to MOS school, and I was like, this is the dumbest shit.
What do you do at water purification school? Like, what are they?
Purify water. I mean, that's a dumb question. Like, you got any other brain busters up there? Like, like we would set up water points, and then there was like one portion of the course where we had to go do water recon, and we literally went and sat at a fucking lake and drew a map of the lake, and then we had to figure out like where the best place was to set up like the suction and inlet stuff, and where to put the pumps, and how far the pumps can be away to run the water to the ROPU, which is a reverse osmosis water purification unit, and it was just fucking dumb, And I was like, this is embarrassing, and the instructors are talking like this is the best job in the fucking Corps, and then
of course, because that's their MOS,
yeah,
they think everybody thinks
like, man. Then I got to my first unit, and I was like, this is fucking stupid as well. Like, people are like, all right, we're going to set up a water point. We're going to purify some water. And I was like, what the fuck, And, like, people were like, this is the best job. I had a staff sergeant who turned into a warrant officer who was fucking batshit crazy. He literally thought, because he was a 1141 or 42, whatever the generator mechs are.
Okay.
This motherfucker would go and put his hand on generators and sit there and close his eyes and put his hand on the generator, and he'd be like, Knuffler bearings are shot. You're like, what? And that he would.
Would he be right?
Well, fuck no. I mean, sometimes he would. Like, eventually, and so he would have dudes tear apart the whole generator based off of him putting his fucking hand on the generator and sensing what he thought would be wrong. This was a reality.
Oh my God, dude, this is the most Marine shit ever.
Yeah, and so then he would, like, what people don't understand is, like, there's two different really types of Marines, other than the Paris Island, and
being the best,
charity, San Diego, hoorah. And
you're welcome.
There's the guys that go overseas, and they're basically like, there's nothing to do. So what do you do to fill that time? You're doing fucking uniform inspections.
Oh, yeah.
Like, day one, I got to my barracks room, and I had all my, like, stuff on my bed, and a corporal walked in, and he was like, why the fuck isn't this put away? And I was like, I I don't know. So I was on the third deck. So he opens the window and just starts throwing my clothes out the window. And what are you going to do about it? There's nothing. Fortunately for me, the staff duty NCO was fucking down there and was like, what in the fuck is happening?
As all your clothes are coming flying down?
Yes, everything just chucked out the window. He did not give a fuck. So then the staff duty was like, get the fuck down here right now. And so this is like day one. I'm like, what is happening? So he's yelling at this corporal. Corporal gets in trouble. They pass it up because I guess they considered it hazing.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you can't just...
For no reason.
Yeah, there was...
I mean, you can in the Marine Corps, but...
Yes, but no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't get caught.
Yeah.
And so then, like, that night, I'm 18. Yeah, I'm 18. He, like, has me come down to his room.
The same corporal?
Same corporal. He apologizes or whatever, but it wasn't like, hey, sorry, man. It was like, I might have fucked up, but I'm not admitting that I may have fucked up. And I was like, okay. So I'm, like, sitting there in the chair, like, sitting straight up because I don't know what to do with my fucking hands. And he was like, you want a beer? And I was like, I'm not 21, corporal. Because I'm like, there's something going on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not fucking falling. He was like, that's not what I fucking asked. Do you want a beer? And I was like, yes, corporal. And so I sat there, like, awkwardly, like, you know, just holding this
This
beer.
is your first day?
This is like day one, dude. And I was like...
In the fleet or at school?
Oh, fleet.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Iwakuni, Japan, with MWSS 171. And it was just like pure stupidity every day because there's nowhere to go. You go to the barracks, and everybody from the platoon is all in the same barracks. Mm-hmm. And then you go to work, and everybody that you just saw in the barracks.
Oh, I've never thought of that.
There's no escape. And then, like, if you're an E1 through E3, you can only be out in town until, I don't know, it's like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And you had to go out with a live buddy. You had to have a pass. And if you were, you know, E4, E5, you could be out till midnight. And if you were a staff sergeant, you had the common sense or the ability to stay out all night. Mm-hmm. And so, like, everybody just hung out together. And it was super weird because, like, we would get home to the barracks room, and the first thing we would do is we'd start ironing our camis, spit shining our boots every night for hours.
I missed this whole stage in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, that was what everybody was doing over there.
I've heard of these days where there was nothing to do except for just fuck games.
Yeah.
Where just CGI inspections, like just...
Bro, field day would start at whatever time that we'd have a formation, right? Mm-hmm. They'd kick it off, and then if you were in charge of stripping the wax off the deck, you would literally be out there all night, sleeping at the door to come in, and you would not allow anybody to come in unless they took their shoes off. And that was every Thursday. That's what it was. Like,
did you guys reapply new wax?
Every time. Stripped it, new wax.
Stripped it?
We had, I mean, the buffer, we had all that.
Oh, so we had... I never understood that.
No.
Strip the wax.
Every time.
That was the worst, bro. The worst.
Like this sadistic fuck of a staff sergeant, he would, because he had nothing to do.
Yeah.
Like he would literally, like there was one time we were in Thailand, he cut his own hair. And so he'd be like flexing on the mirror at himself, like doing all this stuff. And we're just like,
because these are all non-combat dudes, right?
Yeah.
Because the war hasn't even kicked off yet.
Well,
or has
it was post 9/11, so I don't know what the exact.
Close to it.
No, it hasn't kicked off yet.
Okay.
They might have been in Afghanistan at the time doing super secret stuff, but like the Iraq invasion didn't start until I got over to 29 Palms. And like he would spend hours cutting his hair. But anyways, he would have us do like inspections on the weekends at nights. And so he would be out there and we'd be like in our alphas. And so he would fucking like Irish pennants, anything's off, he's asking you all the questions. So he would have the squad leader or the platoon sergeant taking notes. So then he would be like, all right, cool. After hours of this, he'd be like, now go put on your Charlies. You have 10 minutes, be back down. So then we'd put on Charlies, we'd run down, he would take notes. And then after we go through like every fucking uniform that we have, we'd go back up to our barracks room, get our uniforms, and he would march us down to the tailor shop. And we would get in line, and then he would stand there while we turn in our uniforms, and then the platoon sergeant would read off what needs to be fixed, and then they would write that down and fucking then march back. Well, I can't tell you how many of those inspections. That was just standard. Like when I got out of there and went to California, granted it was 29 Palms. Like I remember the first weekend, everyone's like, "All right, I'm out. See ya." And I was like, "What do you mean you're out?" They're like, "I'm fucking going to LA." I was like, "That's so strange to me. Like nobody hangs out, nothing." They're like, "No,
you got freedom here."
Yeah, and I was like, "There's like minimal inspections. Like we didn't have any inspections." But when you're overseas now, it's like
there's
inspection,
because there's nothing else to do.
There's fucking nothing to do.
An inspection, for people listening that have no idea, like there's so much that goes into an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you ever do the CGI inspections where you had to fold all your little whitey tighties in like a 4x4 square and all of that shit?
I had a kit where I went out and purchased everything. No, I had a full-on plastic container.
Yeah.
Because you had to have camis, you had to have everything. And so we each had 2 wall lockers. One was my inspection wall locker, which was ready to go 24/7. And then I had my junk on a bunk bullshit, which I had rebought. Everything was perfect. I'd stamped, my fucking name on my underwear in perfect. And so that, because they would, no shit, just be like, junk on a bunk, go. I'll be upstairs inspecting in 15 minutes. And so I'd open up my big plastic box, pull everything out, put the poncho liner down, lay everything out specifically.
The poncho liners, I remember those.
Fucking stupid,
bro. Like that's the type of stuff to me. Like I would rather like physically get hazed all day. I never cracked physically, but mentally, when like that type of shit is what drove me insane, man. Like they would measure your underwear, and if it wasn't perfect 4x4 or whatever it was, or your skivvy shirts or what, I was like, what is the point of this? Thank God we only went through,
like, we would trim our stuff so that it was easier to fold. So it wasn't even like
you guys were dealing with it on a much. We only went through I want to say like maybe 6 months of it, because
I fucking pay to have 6 months.
Yeah, because then the next battalion got back, and then we got reattached, and then we started work up. So it was like that downtime when nobody was at the battalion except for all of these boots that got dropped there. So we had like 6 months of just that, and it didn't stop once we went into our platoon, but we were now shifted gears toward deployment time. You're like,
there's something to do.
We had a job, but dude, those were the worst, bro. Like I never understood. And that's when like I look at it now, I'm like, I could only imagine what the Marines are having to deal with now that there's no war or conflict going on. Like, what do they do?
They don't even get a national defense ribbon anymore. Like, so you showing up naked.
Nothing.
Yeah, like
nothing. At least we had one little ribbon right out of the gate.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a war fighter,
I'm a war hero.
Yeah, war cry. And they don't get shit now. No GWAT, nothing.
Good.
And so they better get on a MEU and get that Sea Service deployment ribbon or something. So, yeah, that was.
So 29 Palms, that's a fascinating place.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it.
There's some creatures.
Yeah, a lot of meth heads out in the
my first introduction to 29 Palms was I was a Lance Corporal, and we got this guy that just got shipped to us from 29 Palms.
Yeah.
And he had gotten caught like hooking up with all these dudes' wives.
You've yet to surprise me.
And and he was like videoing it, and then I guess a bunch of these videos came out, and all these Marines that were deployed found out and like had all these death threats on him. So they literally, and it was like a legit, like it was a thing. I'm sure if I dropped his name, you can Google it, and it was like a big deal. Well, he ended up coming to our battalion, but they ended up sticking him in the hazmat because it was like a little Connex box, like behind like all the ammo, and like
double locked.
They stuck him in the hazmat lot in this little thing, and you'd go ask him for the tampons, like when you spill oil or something, like, and he was just riding his time out there because there was literally like a hit out for this guy because all he was doing out in 29 Palms was just hooking up with everybody's wives.
I believe it because like I had some friends that were MPs out there because when we deployed to Iraq, they put a detachment of MPs with us to do the IED calls. The stories they told me, they're like, you go to base housing and it's crazy. Like
straight orgies.
Yeah.
And
Orgies, or like women, whether husbands are deployed, would be like standing in their window naked, knowing that the MPs are out there. People coming, like they would catch people at the gate all the time coming through, young Marines with married women. So none of that surprises me at all. And then knowing MPs, they would share all the stories, and I'm just like, wow, that's cool. Like, wow.
That place is fascinating, dude. Fascinating
There's
place.
nothing out there. Like,
didn't we buy 29 Palms from the Army for like...
That's what people said, is like the Army was like, this is not...
They deemed it uninhabitable.
Yeah, like unfit for training. And the Marine Corps was like, we'll give you 10 cents on the dollar. They were like,
yeah, take it.
I don't know if that's real. It could be an urban legend, but it is also believable because it
makes sense.
Out there.
It just goes along with everything that the Marine Corps would do.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you go out to Lavik Lake, I'm sure you did some training out there. I spray painted every bomb that was laying in that desert with yat-yas on it.
I could believe that too.
I jumped out of my vehicle.
There are bombs everywhere.
Everywhere. And we're driving out there in our vehicles, and I would jump out of my vehicle, run out there, and tag every bomb that was laying out there. I'm talking for like 3 days. We were doing this LFAM, this live fire maneuver out there with, training. I didn't give a fuck. We were in the middle of it, and I'd see this giant bomb laying there, and I would just slam the brakes on, dip, you spray paint yat-yas on it. You ain't tracks, you ain't shit. And I'd climb back up the side of my vehicle, get in, and off we would go.
Yeah.
My crew chief, he could not stop me. He was like, please just stop. And then literally, like the day we're leaving, they pulled this whole formation together. They're like, who the fuck is spray paint yat-yas all over unexploded ordinances out Lavik Lake? And everybody just goes, it like looks at me, and I'm just like sitting there twiddling my thumbs. I'm like, not me.
I can't even spell.
Fuck, I'm an Amtracker. I can't spell yet. Yes. But yeah, there was this huge investigation. They ended up launching, trying to find who it was. And like, it was this, thank God. The only thing that saved me is because we would rotate positions every time. So it wasn't like the same path we just took. And I'd spray paint every bomb, and then we'd rotate and take different positions, and I'd spray paint every bomb on that path. I tagged that whole entire desert. Everything that I could write yat-yas on, I just spray painted.
That's just a little UXO, whatever.
Yeah, fuck it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we did some training back there when we were getting ready to go over to Iraq, and bro, it was a shit show. Like, we had this one female captain that just got us lost. So we just spent forever driving in the desert. She's dipped more Copenhagen than probably anybody I've ever met.
Oh, God.
And then she got, like, I wasn't on the initial convoy into Iraq with them. I flew in early with the advance party. And I guess she got them lost again. And then, like, 2 staff NCOs had to, like, pick her up off the ground in some firefight. She just completely lost her mind, and they relieved her.
No shit.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, my friend was on that, and he was telling me about it. He was like, it was a complete shit show. And I was like, I'm not surprised.
No.
Like, I mean, you take people that are in the wing, because I was with MWSS 374.
The hell's that?
I don't really know how to explain it. Like, Marine Wing Support Squadron. Like, It's so stupid, because it's basically a bunch of people that are not grunts trying to be like grunts, because they'd be like, for PT tomorrow, we're going to run backwards with gas masks on, because that's what the grunts would do. But then you see the grunts, and they're like, what? Why would we do that? Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And it was really frustrating, because it's like, they'd have us running around in like Mop 4. And I'm like, God. Bro, we're fucking utilities platoon.
What year did you go to Iraq?
04.
Okay.
And so we were there at TQ, El Taqadum, which was right next to Fallujah. And, but like the training we did, like that fucking crazy staff sergeant that could like touch generators. Well, this motherfucker turned into a warrant officer, and he was with us.
No.
So he gave us a speech before we had rolled out. Like, this dude was the master of wasting time. We would literally be at work from like 06 to fucking 1900 every day, doing absolutely nothing. Not a damn thing, because we were waiting on the word from this dipshit warrant officer. And then there was one thing where he made everybody go out and buy sponges. And he was like, everyone's going to keep a sponge in your cargo pocket on your pants. So if you get lost in the desert, you can soak up water and drink it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, if we're fucking lost in the desert, like, so much shit has fucking gone wrong to where, like, at the time I think I was a corporal. So I'm like,
that's the best way of putting it. If I'm using a sponge in the desert, we have fucked up.
If the war is hinging on fucking me in the desert with said sponge, we're fucked. Pack it up. Let's get the fuck out of here. Like, and then that's the shit.
Call it a wrap, boys.
Yeah. War's over.
If I pull my sponge out, we're going home.
Yeah, we're fucked. Yeah. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, why am I lost in the desert by myself? Like, I just decided, like, the platoon's going that way, and I was like, fuck you guys, right? See, this way seems way safer.
He literally made you guys carry a sponge.
100%.
Where the fuck are you going to find water in the aren't you water purification?
Bro, we didn't purify shit out there. We were just fucking handing out bottles. We didn't do a fucking thing because everything was contracted out, bottled of water.
Were you running showers for dudes at least?
No, they had that wasn't us.
What the hell were you doing the whole time?
Fucking nothing. Like, I was able to, like, work my way into being the lead Vic driver on IED calls out there in Fallujah. And so we'd go out with the EOD guys, and that was, like, the coolest thing that I got to do. But we weren't fucking shooting at anybody. Like, they rocketed and mortared the fuck out of us.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, dude, our days were, it was.
What did you do day in, day out?
Fucking generator watch. They just made sure.
You just filling up generators so they never ran out?
Mm-hmm.
How long was your deployment?
I was there 6.5 months.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, that was back when they were doing like 6-month rotations. It was pretty quick, but it was like so fucking pointless to be out there. And
are you guys on like shifts? Like, okay, during these hours, the three of us are on generator
it was like
maintenance.
8 hours or 12 hours. Like, we had like a maintenance area where we would fix generators.
Yeah.
And like, me being me, this fucking warrant officer, at one point he was like, we were missing some part to a generator, and I don't remember what it was. And so he told the gunny, like, have these guys get on fucking line and go find this part.
Yeah.
And the gunny was like, well, we've looked for the part. And he was like, I can sense that the part is fucking out there. So we're online looking for whatever this part is. And so I get in trouble because I'm picking up rocks. And I'm like, not under here. Oh, not over here. And so then the gunny was like, Ritter, get the fuck, what the fuck, you know? And I was like, oh, I'm just looking for scorpions. He was like, oh, okay, carry on, you know? Like,
so dumb.
It's just the stupidest shit.
Which, that's the worst time. Like, when there's nothing to do, that's the worst time in the military.
You're in a fucking war zone, you know? Like,
the fact you guys are playing fuck games in the war zone, like, that's the best. That's the best.
We were still PTing, going for runs and shit. I mean,
and you're on TQ?
Yeah, because that base was huge. Because we took it over from the Army when they gave it up in like 2004. And it was just like, why the fuck are we here? You know, like, nobody's like, dude, we need some fucking water dogs down here right now, because that's what they, you know, called us, water dogs. And it's like, fuck, this is so embarrassing. And but like, the little silver lining for it is,
oh my god,
this warrant officer was actually like having sex with a fucking corporal. And
not surprised.
Yeah, so there's a love triangle going on. So this female,
who else was the corporal hooking up with?
The gunny that was in charge of one of the other shops.
So those two dudes find out and start fighting?
Yeah, well, what happened is the gunny was like, hey, motherfucker, that's my girl. And he was like, no, the fuck, it's not, you know, whatever the conversation was. And so the gunny was like, I'm going to tell the CO that that's fraternization. And he was like, you're not going to beat me to telling the CO. So he went into the CO's office and was like, I'm fucking a corporal. And the CO was like, banish him. And so they sent him to like some fob. And then my buddy was out there with this guy. And so he showed up and was like, all like, because the Corps was his fucking life.
Wait. The warrant officer went and told on himself?
Yes.
That he was hooking up with a corporal?
Yes. And then the CO sent him out to some bumfuck fob someplace.
Oh my god.
Stripped him of like all powers, you know?
Yeah.
And so he just like moped around this fob. for months.
Oh,
and then my buddy was telling me that like they would do movie night out there, and so he got like the bootleg version of the samurai one with Tom Cruise. Last Samurai. Yeah. He's been waiting all day for that.
He has. He's been waiting all day. That was his time to shine.
Good
job,
this
Chris.
Fucking movie on, and he would pause it like every like 4 to 5 minutes and be like, "Let's discuss what's going on." So it took like fucking 8 hours because he was like a tactician, you know, like the Sun Tzu, like Art of War was,
you
know, and I'm
master.
like, bro, you're fucking water purification generator tech. You're a warrant officer in utilities.
It just got relieved and sent out here.
Relieved because you were having sex with a corporal out here, and the corporal was also sleeping with a gunny.
Good for her, at least.
Yeah.
God, see, I have no ever experiences like that. It was just dudes.
There's shit like that all the time. Just crazy.
I never had to work with women in the military. I feel like I was very fortunate and did not happen to, like, that changes the dynamic of everything. It
really does. Because you take like one woman and you throw her in a platoon in Iraq.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden she's a fucking swimsuit
model. Yeah.
Yeah. Sports
You go from, a stateside 4 becomes a Iraq 10 real quick.
People are like, dude, I'm going to wife her up. And then,
dude, yes.
Then what happens is like all these guys are like, I love her. I'm like, no, you don't. I love her. And then finally she's like, I pick you. And now everyone's like, I fucking hate you, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anything to do with you.
That's exactly how it goes. That's the most basic way of ever explaining that.
Yeah. And people are like, well, you know, women should be here and doing that stuff too. And I'm like, yeah, sure. There's stuff that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
There are women that have passed the basic reconnaissance course. Well, there's one. There's women that are in the infantry, but it changes the entire dynamic because now you go someplace and now instead of just having a shower point or bathrooms for just males, now you need shower point for both male and female.
Yeah.
Or they have to take an hour time out of the shower time. So one female can do her stuff. And so all the guys in the platoon are sitting there waiting, not doing anything. Also, like one person can shower. And then, you know, that doesn't even have to do, like, if you go even deeper on, like, how much a man can carry compared to a woman, you know, and it's like there's certain cases where, sure, like, I'm not going to get into, you know, a debate about no women ever because it's going to happen. Like, it's not going to not happen.
Mm-hmm.
It already is happening. And so, like, there are some badass women, but there was also, what was it? I think she was a captain in charge of the Lioness program for the Marine Corps out in Afghanistan. And she, I believe, wrote an article that was like, women should absolutely not be in any type of role like this. Like, they were living out in the middle of nowhere in Afghanistan.
We had a team come out to us. We were living out of, like, a vehicle checkpoint out of we were just living in our vehicles outside of a city.
Yeah.
And what the fuck, the lionesses, whatever term
the program is called.
Whatever, it was stupid as shit. They got a little spark up their ass and wanted to come leave the fob and come out. And so, you know, and obviously we couldn't touch female Iraqis and search them and all that good stuff. So they brought out these lionesses. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast or not, but we ended up building them shitters. I had to build them their own separate shitters, and that's when I explained to their sergeant, like, hey, they have to shit in one, piss in another, because we're burning our shit out here.
Yeah.
And they didn't listen to us, and as soon as they burned their shit once, they all left. That was it. They didn't
play anymore.
They didn't like the idea. This wasn't fun for them.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted to go back to the fob, have a shower every night, sleep in their cots.
Cafe.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, the fob that they were on was, we didn't even have showers, I think, for the first, 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they end up coming out and they're like, we're here and we're women and we're powerful and we're going to do what men can do. And then they burnt their shit once and it was just giant pots of chili is what they were doing. And we made them stir it. And we did everything we could to make their life hell because ours has always been hell and we're not going to give it to them. So, I was a sergeant and their staff sergeant that was in charge of them hated me.
I don't believe that.
Hated me. And, so yeah, as soon as I made them burn their shit, that was it. They went back and they never came back out to help us. Yeah. And it was like, imagine that. You know, it was funny because I'm sure they all have their war stories and they went home.
Yeah.
I was outside the wire.
I mean, there are some badass women out there.
There are some legit ones, but
I mean, if you just keep throwing
enough shit at a wall, it's going to stick eventually.
Somebody's going to eventually pass.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my gosh, we figured it out. We cracked the code.
Yeah.
This woman's going to be an infantry officer. But
good luck.
You know, when she's got a 150-pound ruck on and still carrying a weapon and like running and leading a platoon, and she's 5'4", 100 and 40, 50 pounds, maybe, probably not. That's her body weight that she's running up, and then still needs to be like combat effective when you get to the objective.
It's cool to put on a dog and pony,
you
know, and show some brass that the women can do it, but you put them in that real environment for months and months and months on end. Like, how long does your body sustain that weight, or, you know?
I think we're getting away from like the military. The whole objective of the military is to show up and kill fucking people.
At least the Marines.
Yeah. I mean, the Air Force, who knows? They do whatever. But that is, you know.
Dude, that's like, you don't join the Marines to go to college.
No, you're not like, dude, I'll ride this out. No. I'll get my 4-year degree. Like, I'll get the GI Bill and it'll be super chill. No, most people join the Marine Corps because they're like, I just want to go fucking kill people.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it, yeah.
And so when you're taking away from like combat effectiveness of that by just introducing like whatever the flavor of the day is into it because you want to be, you know, DEI or whatever it is, it gets away from the point of what you're doing. That's like having an auto shop but hiring someone that's not a mechanic.
Just because they meet your quota.
Yeah, they're like, well, he's what we're looking for.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's like, you know,
just the dynamic alone. You know, and I can't speak of it in the military because that was the only experience we ever had was when they came out for that very short time, and we knew it. It's the shittiest conditions. I mean, I got to ask some of my buddies. I want to say we went like 60 some days without a shower, right? Like we smelled so bad. Even, I mean, we ran out of baby wipes because we'd get resupplied, but like the essentials, we weren't going back to the fobs. We weren't at this point, you know, eventually we did. And that we stunk so bad. Like, you had to sleep with your arms on the outside of your sleeping bags because if you like rolled and got that waft, like it would wake you up. Like, you stunk so bad. And so it's like, we're going through all of this shit, and then all of a sudden it's like, now we have like this team of like these all perfectly clean, smelling perfect, and, you know, come out and you can see this whole shift change, right? And so that was short lived. I want to say they were with us for maybe like a week, enough to fill some shitters.
Yeah, like hygiene. That doesn't bode well. Like, women should not be living in an unhygienic situation for like 60 days.
Yeah.
I'm not even a doctor, and I can tell you that's not.
Well, so I never had that experience because we're all just males, right? We are a male unit. That was it. We're in a mechanized unit. We're dealing. That was it. That's what we were. Well, you fast forward now, and then I get back, and then I'd go to the barracks. So when I was the 1st Marine Division Color Sergeant, I had to go to division schools, and they have all the females, males, all that. All the problems came from those co-ed barracks. And they were having all these young Marines getting in trouble for it. And so I'd always notice it then. I'm like, God, like, what? This doesn't make sense to me. Even as like a staff NCO, I'm like, this is the dumbest shit ever. Then when I had Wishes, our organization, you know, we're predominantly male applicants, right? For just we're open to everybody. I mean, we have women, everybody come on. But we did an event recently. It was all dudes. We had like 5 women come out that were supposed to be coming on this trip, and they all end up canceling except for one. She was cool, completely badass chick, hung with the dudes, but the whole dynamic was off. They didn't have the banter, the shit talking, the comment. I mean, I'm not like, it sucks that we have, and even though you get those women that are like, I'm one of the dudes, it's never the same. As an outsider, like somebody that's repping this and in charge, and I see the dynamic of, I'm doing this a decade.
I think you would need Tater off of Yellowstone to get that dynamic you're looking for.
Facts.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, right.
She'd do well.
Yeah,
that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, but even still, you have these good old boys that don't want to cross certain lines or say things, or they're uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it would be like you somebody sending one of us to a women's book club and sitting us down, or some women's therapy retreat, and we're sitting there as some dumbass Marine like.
That would not go well.
They would not feel as comfortable sharing that shit in front of us. And so there's a huge dynamic shift when a woman is thrown into a combat unit, any unit. I feel like it throws everything off. Everything off.
Balance.
Even if we had drama. We had a female corpsman come out with us, and oh God, one of my instructors was hooking up with her.
That's mind blowing.
In the field.
Oh God.
She had a nickname to her and then she finds out about this nickname and throws this huge fit and tries to burn like 3 or 4 dudes in the platoon that were all hooking up with her that these dudes, none of the dudes knew, but it was just this huge drama. And I was like, why do we put ourselves in this situation? Because we have to, because like we have to have these quotas, or they have to feel that they're equal or whatever. Why? Like it doesn't make sense to me that you're literally throwing a wrench in everything just because equality. I mean, whatever the reason is. I never understood that. And I'm all for, like, there's positions and roles for everybody.
Yeah, there's plenty of men out there that can't hack it either.
Dude, I know dudes that
before this turns into those guys are so sexist, you know, like there's plenty of guys that suck.
So I've seen some Marines where dudes that where I'm like, holy shit, that dude's a Marine. Like they're just unsat, just not physically fit. I mean, I'm sure those women could do the jobs better than them, but I'm just talking like as far as a dynamic and morale, all that stuff. I mean, it's a different world.
You ain't wrong. Yeah, it really
different world. So you're in Iraq. You finish the 6 months. You come back.
Yeah, I came back to 29 Palms, and I think I only had probably like 6 months or 8 months left on my contract, something like that. And then I got out because I was like,
really?
Fuck this shit.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, well, after 29 Palms and that warrant officer, and
that was enough. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, just the amount of fuck games and stupidity that went on there was just unbearable. And because, I mean, the career planner was like, are you thinking about re-enlisting? I was like, absolutely. Like, I gave him a list. I was like, these are my fucking demands. And it was an 8.5 college rule, 8.5 by 11 paper. And I had like fucking 100 schools written out on like anything that you could possibly like
put me on.
Yeah, I was like, I want to be part of the band. I want to do like everything, dude. And I gave him this list. I was like, these are my demands. And he was like, no, we can't. He was like, I can probably get you jump school. And I was like, no.
Were there any bonuses? There was bonuses at your time, wasn't there?
Probably not for utilities.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I'm sure there were.
I was going to say, what year did you get out?
05.
Oh, there was definitely re-enlistment bonuses.
That wasn't worth it.
Then, yeah. Like, probably not, huh?
Because we got a new warrant officer, and he had some friends that were at First Force, and he was like, I can get you an indoc over there, and you can go take a shot at it, see if you can get in. And I was like, that sounds cool. I respect it, but if I don't pass that,
where do you go?
Am I coming back to utilities? Because I'm not doing another 4 fucking years of this shit. Like, absolutely not. And so I was like, I'll just do college. So I got out and enrolled in college. And I was going to college out of Juneau at University of Alaska Southeast. And then after probably like 3 years or whatever it was, or 2.5, I was like, yeah, I kind of miss it. And so they had Echo Company, 4th Recon Battalion out of Anchorage. So I was like, I'll try to join that. Yeah. And then right when I got into the reserve unit, they disbanded Echo Company and moved it out to Illinois. And then they started up, which was 4th Anti-Terrorism Battalion, Company D- or whatever. And I was like, okay. So then I lap moved to 0351, went to the Assaultman's course, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Did that, and then called out to, 4th Force and talked to the ops chief, who was a master sergeant, and I was like, blah, blah, this is Sergeant Ritter. I'd like to join the unit. What is the process? And he was like, dude, just come on out, man. And I was like...
You're like, what?
Yeah, no, exactly. I was like, what do you mean just come on out? And he was like, well, here's our drill dates. Get a plane ticket and just show up. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem very fucking Marine Corps. So
this is a trap.
Yeah, like, this is so sketchy. So a buddy and I, who were like, fuck it, let's go recon.
Yeah.
We literally got plane tickets, flew out there, showed up, talked to the master sergeant, and he was like, cool. Gave us the rundown. And then we met the guys on the reconnaissance team out there, like the next day or something. And they were cool. And then their ops guy, our ops chief, came and got us one day, and he was like, it was on Sunday, I think it was. maybe it was Saturday. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. And he was like, get your PT gear. We're going to go do an in-dock. I was like, all right, cool. So we got changed over, took us to the pool, and then he thrashed us in there for a while. And then
this is pre-in-dock or in-dock?
This is in-dock at the unit to see if they'll even want to pick you up. So it consisted of like 500-meter swim in camis. I think there was a 30-minute water tread at the end.
That's rough.
Rifle retrieval, jumping in from the high dive. What else was there? Oh, a 50-meter crossover, I think. I don't honestly remember.
Yeah.
I just know it sucked. And so we went to the pool portion because like during the treading water portion of it.
Was it with a brick?
No, he was just splashing us in the face and dunking us for the entire like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was at one point, like I thought I was going to pass out. Like I remember looking up at the surface in the water, you know, there. And I was like, everything's starting to fucking suck in. I was like, this is not good. But, you know, the whole thing is like, just don't quit.
Yeah.
So we passed that. And then he took us back to the headquarters and he was like, change over into PT gear. You're going to do a PFT. So after that,
after spending the afternoon in the pool?
Yeah. So then we ran a PFT right after that. And usually we're supposed to you do like a ruck run. After that, you'll do like a 12-mile ruck. But we skipped that portion because I think we're on the other side of the flight line at K-Bay. Mm-hmm. And so he didn't want to watch us do like fucking 3 laps around a 4-mile track. And so he was like, yeah, you guys passed. Welcome to the fucking gun club. You guys can wear black PT shorts now.
Really?
Like, yeah. And we're like, cool. And so we did that and then started, going out there and training with the guys and whatnot, waiting to get like a BRC school date.
Yeah.
And because I had already lap moved once, TCOM in the Marine Corps was like, fuck you, dude. This needs to be unit funds. And the unit was like, fuck you. We're not paying for this shit. TCOM can. So it took a long time for me to get to BRC. It was
BRC?
Basic Reconnaissance Course.
Got it.
And so when I got there, it was, I showed up January, it was like 2nd or 3rd. And I had just gotten over being sick as fuck for the last 10 days. And I was like, this is not good, because the guys in Hawaii were like, if you go to BRC and you fucking fail, never come back to Hawaii. Just leave. Don't ever, no vacations, fucking nothing. Nobody wants to see you on this goddamn island.
Really?
Like, yeah. They were like, don't ever show your face here ever again. Just disappear. And I was like, okay. It's fucking intense. And so like I showed up just getting over being sick for a while. And we jumped fucking like right into it. I think we started training on probably like January 6th or something, because we, for whatever reason, like I showed up and then we had like a 72 and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah.
72, like I just sat in the barracks.
Yeah.
And so then like the BRC starts with, you do a PFT first thing and then
a normal standard PFT.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they want your like run time to be like 23 or less, 22
That's
or less.
doable. That's easy.
And then, it's like strict pull-ups. There's no like homie hookup or anything like that. And then you do your crunches, and then you run the obstacle course, I think twice back to back. Granted, this was like 12 years ago, so I don't really remember. And then they put us on buses, and they took us to the pool. And then we did the pool portion of that. And then... What's
the pool portion like? Was it a lot like what you went through?
Yeah, it was just the same thing. It was a 500-meter swim in camis, and then like rifle retrieval, and then I can't remember. I want to say we were doing crossovers, but we may not have.
What are crossovers?
Where you just swim underneath the length of the pool underwater.
Okay.
So generally they want you to be able to do a 50-meter crossover, and that's while wearing camis. So you're not like in fucking shorts.
Yeah, so you're dragging under the water.
Yeah, it's terrible. And then after that, you go into the water tread, and that's 30 minutes. And then the instructors were, in there just fucking with us. And then after that, like nobody quit during that. Everybody made it through the in-dock portion of it to say like, yeah, you can move forward with training. And then all hell just fucking broke out. Like we were just getting slayed in the pool. Like I think we spent the rest of the afternoon just in the pool, swimming laps, getting fucking dunked, passing bricks, doing circles.
That's a whole other level of exhaustion that you're never ready for it. Is water. Anything in the water I felt was...
I had a leg up I think personally, because like I grew up on the swim team, so I was very comfortable in the water. I went to McQuist and passed without training for it at all. Like I just showed up, and my buddy, this was prior to BRC, my swim buddy or whatever they called it, he was like, how long have you been training for this? And I was like, dude, I got a call last week that was like, do you want to go to McQuist? And I was like, fuck it, let's do it.
That's a pretty tough school.
Yeah. And that was just pure getting fucked in the water every day. And I was like, well, how long have you been training? He was like 8 months. And I was like, oh, cool, man.
I'm screwed.
Yeah. And he was like, he quit right after that. Like, because McQuist, they would have us out like treading water, wearing like a helmet, flak jacket, rifle, and just treading water and then doing rescues and then coming back. And then we'd start our mornings out with like a few 1,000-yard swim. And then we would go do a run. Like we would do run, swim, runs. And then we would do pool PT, which is you start on one edge of the pool and then you like sprint to the other side and you jump out and you do push-ups and then you jump back in the water and you swim back over and then they tell you what to do. Like it's crazy. It just goes on for ever and ever.
Yeah, they asked me if I want to do McQuiz to go through. They gave me two options, and one of them was to go and get my certification for CrossFit, which I didn't even know what the hell that was at the time, or go to McQuiz instructor. And I was like, I had a buddy that just gotten back, and he said he was like, dude, it fucking sucked. And
it's terrible.
He's like, you think you're good, like to be able to do it? And he was telling me what everything went into it, and I was like, and it was like I was literally like 2 or 3 weeks out from this class, and I was like, I'm not gonna make that.
No, it's a
pretty tough school. So yeah, I ended up going and getting my. They're like, well, you're gonna become a CrossFit instructor. That's when they were pushing hard for it in the Marine Corps. I was like, what the fuck is CrossFit? Like I don't even know. But yeah, so I ended up doing that instead, which I probably should have gone to McQuiz because it was horrible.
The McQuiz was just crazy,
miserable. Yeah,
but made it through that and like while I was doing the McQuist, like so I would show up and get slayed in the pool for like 8 to 10 hours, and then I would go back to my hotel room and work on my thesis for grad school. So like I was presenting my thesis and talking to professors and putting together all this shit. While
at the verge of exhaustion.
Yes. So like I would finish my day, eat some food, go back to the hotel room, break out the laptop, and start writing my thesis for grad school.
That's wild.
And so like that's what I did for that. But yeah, so like BRC, like the first phase, and they sometimes switch the phases up. Like first phase is usually generally all like the land prac app stuff, and then like when I went through, second phase was amphib, and then third phase was patrol phase. And so like your first portion, man, I remember one day, it's January, and I don't care what anybody says, it's fucking cold in Pendleton.
It's a wet cold.
Yeah, and so they would have us on the pool deck, right? Just slaying us all fucking morning. And then for lunch, they put us in the corner of the pool deck.
In the shade?
No. There wasn't really much shade. There was like
trying to think where you guys
like a
did
wall.
Yours.
I can't remember what pool it was. I think it might have been like Las Pulgas, because we would switch pools for whatever they could book at the time.
Yeah.
And so we're all sitting there soaking wet. It's like week 1 or week 2 of January. Our lunch is MREs, and then you're soaking wet eating this, and we weren't allowed to use the heaters.
I've never.
Yeah, that's like heaters are a luxury. And so we're like sucking down these shitty meals, and then right after that, pool PT. And so like
how many dudes are puking in the pool?
Oh, probably quite a few. Like I don't remember it specifically, because it was just an all-out experience. But the one saving grace that I have was that I was really good in the pool. So it got to the point where I was always the first one done on Pays to be a Winner. So I was always dressed first. It got to the point where like the other guys I was going through BRC with, which they're all these dudes are fucking studs. Like there was one guy that was running the RPAT, which is a reconnaissance physical assessment test. He was running like what was his time? We did a 12-mile ruck run with I think a 50-pound ruck, and he was like sub 8 minutes.
Ugh.
And this was before getting to that portion. We had done a PFT, obstacle course, and pool session. And then
that dude's a machine.
Yeah, he was a fucking machine. And I was like, on the land, I was by no means fucking stellar. I was not like, that guy's fucking fast. They were like, I was usually towards the end of the pack because I just was not fast. I was a big dude.
Yeah.
not fast on land. But
Not
you
your
put me in the
sport.
pool, it got to the point where like nobody would try during the first portion of anything pays to be a winner because I would smoke fucking everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one day an instructor swam up to me when we were in like this like beehive just getting thrashed, and I was just chilling, you know, doing my thing, and he was like, "Is this tough?" And I was like, "No." And then he just swam away. And it's not like I'm better than anybody, but I'm telling like anybody I talk to that's like, I want to go to BRC. Like, you don't have to be the fastest fucking dude. You need to be exceptionally comfortable in the water.
Got it.
You have to be a fucking superstar in the water because the water will break you. Anybody can put a ruck on and go 10, 15 miles. Anybody can do it. Well, maybe not anybody, but most people.
Majority, yeah.
I mean, and so like the water is the big equalizer because you get in that and you have that, you're sucking in spray, they're splashing you in the face, you can't breathe, you feel like you're drowning, and then you're like, I just want to get dressed. And like, I can't tell you how many people just fucking quit during the pool portion. It was nobody ever quit on the ruck runs that I remember. Somebody might have, I could be wrong. Nobody quit on the obstacle course. Nobody quit during like land nav or anything like that I remember. But the pool, people would just be like, I'm done. That's it. And they would just get out and fucking go home.
Oh, shit.
Because the pool just
Breaks you.
Yeah. I mean, you're in the pool like 8-10 hours just fucking swimming laps. I mean, we would start every day off. And it's all in camis. So you're not, you know, dressed appropriate for the pool. You're wearing full-on fucking clothes.
Yep.
And
which just wear you out.
Yep.
I mean, they just, if you could imagine that little energy bar in normal PT gear swimming around. I mean, it's both as soon as you put on pants, your blouse and trousers on. I mean, dude, it just sucks.
Yeah, you're treading water. You're doing bottom samples because they would tell you to go get a bottom sample. So you have to swim down, touch the bottom of the pool, come back up, and then be like, I feel fine. And then they would just be like, bottom sample, bottom sample, bottom sample. So you never catch your breath. I mean, you're on the verge of being hypoxic and just, you know, having a shallow water blackout. And it's just over and over and over. It never stops. And you're wearing camis. So you got to go down, touch the bottom.
And then when you push off the bottom, you have all that weight.
You have all that weight, and then you have another 100 dudes around you. So it's just a clusterfuck of people, you know? Or like, there were times they would have us doing like the wagon wheel where we'd be passing a brick around, and there would be so many bricks that nobody gets a break. You know, it's just brick, 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 brick. Yep. And it just goes on. And then they would tighten it up, and then they expand it out, and then they would tell everybody to drop the bricks, and then you'd have to go retrieve the bricks, and then everybody comes back up with bricks, and you're sitting there holding bricks over your head, or rifles, you know, just
misery, pure
misery. But like, and I tell people, you know, you don't have to be the absolute best. They're not looking for, because like generally like the superstar PT studs, they peter out. They're looking for somebody that just has a heart and will not quit.
Just more mental than anything.
It is mental. Like, you don't have to be, you know, an 18-minute run on a PFT, on the 3-mile run.
They give you the requirement.
Yeah, if you meet the standard and you just never quit, that's what they want. Because they're looking for somebody that they can rely on to not quit.
If you look back on it now, because you know now that we figured the game out, we've gone through, we've seen everything. I wonder if, like, you ever go back and be like, God, I would have just barely met requirements just to save my energy and body throughout that time. Imagine if you went through now, or, you know, because obviously you're young. Like, whenever I'd go through any course, I mean, I had to be the first.
Yeah.
Left everything out there. Like, I feel like now if I would have been educated, I would have been like,
Problem is,
instead of trying to run a freaking 19-minute 3-mile or some shit, just sprinting my ass off to try to prove it.
They figure out those people real quick.
Oh, if you're sandbagging or not?
Yeah, they know. Because, like, if you run, you know, the PFT or whatever, you do a 3-mile run at BRC, and all of a sudden you just fucking smoke it, right? And they're like, well, where did this come from? This dude's been fucking sandbagging it. Then they're like, okay, and now you have extra attention. Like, they have... Like, I get what you're saying. In theory, yeah, it sounds great.
We'll sniff it out.
Yeah, you're like, dude, now I know it's coming. Like, I'll go 50% power. they know real quick that, like, all right, this dude's not putting his full effort into this. Like, how is it that everybody else is fucking smoke checked, but this dude's like, I feel great, you know? They're like, come here, you know? And next thing you know, you're running up to the top of the hill to go get a rock, and then when you bring it back, it's not the right rock, and then you're headed back up to go get the right rock, which will never be
the right rock.
The right rock. No matter what, you could bring every rock off that hill, and they're like, this is not the one we are looking for.
Nope.
And so, like, I mean, I think for anybody that is on the fence about going to the basic reconnaissance course and becoming a recon Marine, I highly encourage it. I think it's a great program. It's a great, it's a brotherhood. You know, you join something that's a little bit different. It's big boy rules. It's not the equivalent of like, yes, sergeant, no sergeant. You know, it's just a great all around group of guys. Like, I mean, because everybody has that same stuff. They've all been kind of, I guess you could say, cut from the same cloth.
It's my only regret in the military. That was my only regret, is not going recon, or at least trying.
Yeah.
I had my ex-wife. I'd just gone back from my second deployment, and we worked. I was pretty close with the recon guys on our deployment, and got really good friends with them, and they're just badass dudes. And one guy's name was Gonzo. He was just tattered up, just built like a fire hydrant, a little Mexican guy. And they were like, dude, like, you know, because we would help them with security and things like that. And I didn't do a lot with them. Just they came out to some of our checkpoints every now and then. But yeah, they were like, dude, when you get back, like, go through, like, because they were the whole entire recon instructors that I guess were there for a while. So they had to get a deployment under their belt because they'd been at the schoolhouse for a while.
Yeah.
So they literally pulled all of them, put them on this deployment, and they were going straight back to the school.
That's wild.
So they were like, dude, we'll push you through. Just come through. Like, we were on ship. Like, I hung with them. I got to know these guys really well. Didn't do any missions or anything with them. None of that shit. But these guys were like, dude, you're our people. You fit in. Like, just come through. And then I got back from deployment, and that's when I was like, literally, when we put boots on the ground, it was like 5 days after we got back from our deployment was the indoc. And they were like, just go through. You got it. Like, you know, there's no problem.
It's a lot to have, you know.
Yeah.
Like 5 days.
For sure. But I mean, that's what I wanted. And then I got back and I told the wife, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this indoc and I'm going to go recon. And she's like, we're going to end up divorced if you do it. And I mean, fucking ended up divorced anyways. But
just gone recon, dude.
100%. Yeah, that's my only, that's my, out of all the dumb shit I've ever done or not done, that's my, like, one. Where I'm like,
and that, for me, like, when I was highly motivated, truly dedicated water purification specialist, you know,
I can't take you fucking serious, bro.
What's wrong? Do you not respect my 4 years of active duty? Is that what's happening? Because I'll tell you right now, dude.
Respected. It's respected.
I'll shit in your fucking water, and who are you gonna call?
And we'll call it Sea State Coffee.
Yeah, there you go. That's a shitty plug. I want that edited out. I want that gone.
Oh God.
Like, it was funny because, like, the guys that I was with, they nicknamed me, like, fucking Recon Ritter. I have no idea why.
Okay.
Because I was, like,
it flows.
I was super fast.
Yeah.
You know, like, I crushed everybody on the runs. We went and did, like, pool PT, and they were like,
this is prior to going.
Yeah, this was, as I said, a highly motivated water purification specialist, a water dog, to be for short. And, you know, like, we went and did pool PT, and I fucking crushed everybody in it. They're like, wow, are you an Olympian? You know, they're like, how are you so good in the water? And I was like, I fucking grew up swimming, like, on the swim team, so it's not a big deal. And they're like, you should do, it wasn't McQuist at the time. It was, like, combat, whatever the fuck it was called.
There was another name for it.
They like to change up acronyms on us.
Yeah.
And they're like, you should try out for this, and you'd probably pass. And I don't know what happened. I don't think the platoon wanted me to do it or whatever, you know, because yeah, but I was like, I should fucking try out for recon. Yeah. You know, which I didn't while I was in, because by the time I got to my end of 4 years, I was like, man,
over it.
Fuck this shit. Like, dude, it's fucking embarrassing when people are like, what do you do in the Marines? You're like, water purification to be exact. Like, it's fucking embarrassing is what it is, because people are like, you know, this shit. It's respected, but also embarrassing. It's respect but embarrassment, and so it can go either way. So, like, for me, I was like, this is fucking pathetic. Like, I signed up for 4 years. There's a war going on, and my only time in country is as a water purification guy, and I had to, like,
you're not even purifying water.
No, there's no water to purify because the water's too dirty. There's, like, dead bodies in it. And they're like, we're not going to drink that. We have a contract for bottled water. Why the fuck would we clean water out of this shit lake out here? And so, you know, I'm doing that. And, like, I was like, this is exactly where I saw myself at 20 or 21, however old I was. And I was like, this is fucking cool, you know? And so, like, after all of that and being around, like, I got in trouble one time because the gunny said something to me in the platoon when we were in Iraq. And I was like, anybody that re-enlists in this fucking MOS is fucking stupid.
Yeah. And
that reflected on my proficiency and conduct marks.
Oh, almost. I'm sure.
Yeah, he was like,
immediately.
What? You know, like, nobody speaks ill of water dogs.
How dare you?
You are a real sack of shit. And I was like, whatever. I don't care. This is pathetic. Like, you know, and everybody's excuse is like, well, it's really important. You know, if somebody tells you like, hey, we need you to do this, and you're like, that sounds stupid. And they're like, but it's important. You know, you're getting fucked. It's like a blind date when they're like, she has a nice personality,
but she's got a great personality.
Yeah, she's a really
just
nice
give
person.
it a chance.
Yeah, just meet her. You're like, I'm good. I'm going to sit at home and I'm going to watch the fucking hummingbirds eat out of the feeder by the window. That's what I would rather do. You know, I'll take a fucking couple of zins. I'll chill out.
Yep.
And so, yeah, the 4 years ended and they were like, you should re-enlist, you know? And I was like, fuck this shit. And then, of course, they were like, well, what's your plan? I was like, well, I'm going to go to college. And they're like, you'll fail. You'll never make it, because that's the other Marine Corps thing.
That
is. Like, if you don't re-enlist, you're gonna be on the street.
You're gonna try to better your life.
Yeah. You'll be doing fentanyl by tomorrow. You're like, what? No, so far I'm, you know, this many days old that I have not done fentanyl, and I'm holding strong. Like tomorrow, it's a new day.
Who knows?
We'll see what happens.
But after you did all the recon and you made it through the indoc, I mean, did you ever deploy as recon, or did you just get?
No. By then it was like 2013, 14.
Oh, okay.
So there's really not a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
Like, I got to go to a lot of really cool schools.
What's your favorite school?
Ooh, fuck, you know, probably it's a toss-up. Like, free fall was awesome, but
that sounds pretty dope, though.
It was a good time, but dive school was also awesome. And so, like, what people don't realize about dive school is drinking from a fire hose. There's no kind of like good old boy network. There's no homie hookups. Because in the Marine Corps, there's a lot of knuckle draggers and mouth breathers. And so, like, if you're doing a test at, like, SOI, School of Infantry, for assaultman's course, and you turn in said test to the proctor, they'll look at it and they'll be like, hey, Marine, number 2, are you sure you want C and not B? And
That's exactly the Marine Corps.
100%. Dive school?
You sure you wanted A?
Yeah, they're like, B's probably a better choice.
Yes.
You're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah, thank you.
Give me my crayon back.
Bro, dive school, if you're like, I'm a little confused by this question, they'd be like, okay.
You're on like, your own, huh?
Yeah, no help. And then you'd be like, well, so I'm thinking like A, and this is why, but it also could be D, and this is why. And they'd be like,
cool.
Yeah, it could be. It may not be.
Well, which one is it?
Yeah, you have to pick. And you're like, fuck. And so, like, the way that course was, it was like PT in the morning. We'd do like a 2K fin where we'd swim in the bay for 2 kilometers wearing camis, pushing a tack board or a ruck. And then we'd come back and sometimes do PT. And then we would change over. We'd go to the classroom and we'd start learning like dive physics and all that shit. And so then they would go through like a period of instruction on whatever much. And then there was days sometimes where they would teach us the material and then that afternoon test on the material. And so then the way dive school works as well is like for the gas laws and stuff like that, you had to write it out verbatim. So if you missed a comma or didn't put a period in, wrong. That's it.
Interesting.
And so like if you didn't capitalize the T, wrong. Like if it starts with a the, you didn't capitalize it.
Is that just for attention to detail?
Attention to detail, and it's
I guess when you're
important. I mean, you're diving. Like diving, in my opinion, it's
pretty sketch.
It's very sketch, especially when you're on O2 on a rebreather. There's a lot of shit that can go wrong. There's a lot of side effects.
Like what?
God, I'd have to go back and look at like the dive stuff. I mean, you can get like if you go too deep on scuba, you can get a nitrogen hit. Nitrogen narcosis. And that's why like you'll see videos of people down at, I think you have to be past 100 feet to have a nitrogen hit. And so you'll see videos of like people scuba diving and like taking their mask off and trying to like give their breather to fish and trying to talk to fish because they've just completely lost their fucking mind because of the nitrogen in their system. you know, and then like O2, you can get like a caustic cocktail from the scrubbing stuff that's in there that scrubs out the CO2 that you're exhaling. I mean, and then so you'll get this like burning feeling in your mouth. It feels like your mouth is on fire. And so you have to be able to recognize that and do your emergency procedures to get back to the fucking surface, because like skydiving is dangerous, but you can breathe.
Yeah.
Like, and then, you know, with the free fall stuff, like you have 2 chutes. So if one chute doesn't work, now you're down 50%. And as one instructor said, you have the rest of your life to figure out how to fix it. And I was like, fucking, that's big brain shit.
Yeah, right?
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I mean, when you say it like that, you have the rest of your life to figure it out from
now to here.
From 6,000 feet to zero. You have to figure this out.
Yep. And so like with diving, there's no, like you can go hypoxic, you know, with the free fall if you're up too high and you're not breathing on, you know, aviator-grade O2 and stuff like that. But other than that,
that's it.
You jump out of a plane, you get a good body position, and then, you know, you link up with people once you pop your canopy, and then you get in the stack and you come in and you all land in a relatively pretty close area.
Yeah.
Diving,
you're fucked.
Dude, if you're underwater and like, because you have a swim buddy with you, you have your dive buddy. And so like you have to signal them and then they're going to have to help you. And so now you're having this, you know, if you get the bends or some shit like that,
you have to depend on this guy to save you.
To save you, you have to get to the surface. So what they'll do is they'll throttle your O2 bottle, because we have O2 bottles on our dive vests, and that you can throttle it, fills up your vest, you're going straight up to the fucking surface. But now you've
100%
got
have the bends.
Yep. Now you got the bends, so you're gonna have to go sit there and get that figured out. You know,
and then isn't that like a hyperbaric chamber that they stick you in, and you got to live in there until you
stay there for a long time. And then also with diving, like you're diving at night. You can't fucking see anything. You're following a tack board that's like this far from your face that has a compass. So you get a bearing, you shoot that bearing, and then you go subsurface, and then you're checking your depth gauge to make sure that you're at a certain depth, and then you're following that tack board. And then you can do like peaks every once in a while.
What do you mean a tack board? What's a tack board?
So it's just like a swim board,
but
it has a compass on it.
Oh, okay.
And so you just follow. It's like a mariner's compass. You know, you see on a boat, the big thing like that. So you're just sitting there.
Swimming.
In
the dark.
Yep.
Do you have a little red light or anything, or is it pitch black?
Pitch black. Can't see shit.
That's why it's in your face?
Yeah, because it's got
little glow on it?
Glow in the dark stuff. And so it's like right here. And then you're just kicking. That's it.
What if you're in a current?
Then you're probably not going anywhere. Like we did.
Well, what if you have a side current? I mean, you're still shooting your azimuth. I mean,
you're not. So that's where you have to do like tack peaks, because that azimuth is still going to look like you're following it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be staying. It's fucked. You know, like, I mean, it's crazy. And dive school is like, okay, you failed this. Like for example, we were doing pool hits where they put you down at the bottom of the pool. You're walking around, you know, like swimming real slow.
Yeah.
Instructor comes down, rips all your shit off, takes your dive mask off, throws everything away, turns off your air, ties a fucking knot in your regulator. And then you have to go through like the proper procedures of getting that back. And so I failed one of them because my tanks had floated up over my head. And so instead of like clearing, because you're supposed to clear the top over your head before you bring the tanks over, I didn't do that because the tanks were already basically in my fucking lap. So they failed me. And so they sent me back up to the surface. I swam up to the surface. They counseled me as I'm treading water, made me sign a counseling sheet that I understand the deficiencies and I know how to correct it, and that I've been properly provided the material to correct said deficiencies. So I'm signing this, treading water, and then they're like, you have a 2, which means go subsurface. Went back down, instructor comes down, hits me again, because now we're on round 2. If I had failed that again, they would have pulled me out of the pool. I would have been on a plane that night.
Really?
It's that quick. Like they would drop guys all the time.
I heard dive schools.
That's fucking crazy. It didn't matter if you were a master sergeant, a lieutenant colonel, they would drop you. You have 2 chances to pass any test. And so if you fail a test, and then they'll literally, they give you test B right after you failed test A. And they're like, good luck. And if you fail it again, you don't see anybody in the class again. It's crazy. Like you have a plane ticket within minutes and you're on your way to the airport Like, it's fucking
No
wild.
kidding, huh?
Yeah, and it's probably the most stressful course you can go through because there's no
forgiveness.
Yeah, and most of these guys that I was going through with had deployed with a lot of the instructors.
Oh.
There was no, it's cool, dude. You saved my life out there. I got you today.
Even those dudes were just...
Yeah, it was like, you failed. You have to reiterate this portion.
I mean, because I've talked to guys, I don't know if it's for the Marines, but I got some buddies that have gone through some pretty crazy dive schools in the Army, and they say that the nutrition rate is one of the worst out of dive school than any other school, like worse than sniper school.
Yeah. Like
all
the
that stuff.
Army,
I don't know the truth behind it, but they say it's one of the worst schools. Like the fallout rate is the highest out of dive schools, like one of the top.
For the Army, it's a very keeper of the badge course. For the Marine Corps, like, they don't want just anybody in, and it's just get fucked for the entire time.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps is more of a gentleman's course.
Okay.
There's no, because like you can watch, I think, Surviving the Cut, and it has a thing on the Army Special Forces dive school.
Okay.
And I was like, fuck, that looks fucking terrible. You know?
Even like, after you went through yours, you're like,
yeah,
nah,
I was
good.
like, man, I would not go to that. I mean, that's, fuck, like you're trying to learn something to save your life, but you're just being treated like pure shit.
Yep.
The Marine Corps dive school is a gentleman's course.
Got
like, it's very, like, there's no screaming, there's no fucking yelling. There's
pass or fail.
Yeah, that's it. These are what we're going to teach you. This is what you need to learn.
Yep.
If you don't learn it, you're gone. And there's no if and or buts about it. There's no like you. And then the other problem is like if you fail dive school, you go back to your unit, and all the people that have never been to dive school are like, you're the biggest piece of shit in the world. Like we had one guy fail dive school, and people are like, fucking, you suck, you know? And I was like, damn, like you haven't even been to dive school.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what the fuck it's
Yeah.
about. And that's a very Marine Corps thing to do.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Is
Because those schools are fucking stressful. Like free fall was extremely stressful because if you're 1 second late, if they tell you to be there at 08 and you show up at 0800.01,
done.
get out of here. We can't trust you. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, but at the same time, you think that, I mean, I get it, you know, especially when you're in big boy rules in class, in courses.
Yeah. I see it from their side. Like,
Oh, for sure.
if you're supposed to be here at 08, be here at 08.
15 minutes or you're late.
Yeah.
You know, that's where it comes from. Is
military free fall school. Yeah.
if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late.
Yeah, dude, if you're not still here, you're late. You know, it's wild. And so, I mean, they were good courses. It was great being with 4th Force Hawaii. Like, a lot of really good dudes, a lot of great guys that I got to, you know, spend time with, make lifelong friends with and stuff. You know, it's unfortunate, like, I didn't really take anything that I had learned and applied it to anything. But, you know, it was still a good time.
Still got some badass stories out of it and had a really good time.
I mean, it's really just meeting the people.
Yeah.
Becoming part of that group and meeting the people and then being able to, like, you know, as Marines, we have the Marine Brotherhood. Well, then when you take that up to, like, another step, and now you've got the Recon Brotherhood, like, you know, you can
I get it.
hit them up and be like, dude, you know, I need some help with this. And there's a lot of Recon Marines that are in, like, high up positions all over the place in the world. Yeah. It's pretty wild.
And they're a good group of dudes.
Yeah, they're great.
Good group of guys. Yep. Well, dude, Sea State, let's talk into this. You got out, obviously, after that.
Yeah.
And you have, I mean, God, we've known each other for
a while.
Wow.
2016.
At least.
Yeah.
And you were just kicking everything off with this.
Yeah.
Let's talk into this real quick. What made you, I love your t-shirt, by the way. That's a badass.
Dude, I was going to bring you one, but I was like, what fucking size is he? You know, because I know how you get all weird if I bring you like the wrong size shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it a medium or like, does he want the halter top version?
I do love a good halter top.
But I was like, he's probably a 2X if I were to guess.
These days, slimming down a little bit.
Looking good, man.
The 3X days are hopefully long gone for a while.
That's a bed sheet.
I put one on not too long ago. I was going through and the wife was making me clean out the closet.
Yeah.
I was going through all my 3X shirts and I was putting them on. I was like,
Nick, what's all this extra bedding in the closet?
God, I used to fill these out. Like, what an ogre. I mean, I look back at those days, dude, when when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was 200, 280. Sorry, my heaviest in the Marine Corps is 298.
Fuck.
And I was still running smoking PFTs. Smoke.
It goes against everything that the Marine Corps believes in.
Dude, they 100%.
They're like, there's no way this guy's cheating.
I would stand on my weight scale, stand on scale we had this major, and he'd stand there with his clipboard, and I stood on the scale eating a breakfast burrito, California breakfast burrito.
Fuck yeah.
And a gallon of water because my neck was so big.
Yeah.
But I was lean.
Yeah, when they taped out, you're like,
I taped every time. And they hated me because they could never get me, and they could never put me in the fat body platoon.
They wanted to bad.
But I ran not a 300 PFT, but I still.
Dude, if you're getting a first class weighing that much.
Almost 300 pounds. Yeah, it was obnoxious. And then, I just.
There's some first sergeant right now thinking about you, like that motherfucker. Like we could never get him.
I was so juiced out of my mind. I was just filling syringes of steroids and just sticking it in me at that point.
That's right. They didn't test you for that.
Dude, I almost got caught.
Like, if I saw somebody that was like fucking, did you say 298?
This is dead ass truth. You go into the house after this. My desert camis, my forearms were so big I couldn't get them in my rolled camis, so I had to take all of my desert blouses.
Yeah.
Not all of them. I took 2 or 3 out to town. They cut my blouses off above the elbow, rolled them twice, and stitched them so they're permanently stitched so I can get my arms in my blouse because I was that big. It was obnoxious, but the reason I never got really caught is because I was at the schoolhouse, so I was instructing at the time. So if you are a pecker checker for a piss test, you can't piss as well. So I would volunteer, and my whole entire team was juiced out of their minds. Like we literally looked like Jersey Shore. I had this.
Yeah.
Everybody had an 8-pack and was just like swolled up, like
nothing
walking.
To see here, guys.
Yeah,
like,
we're natural, and it was so obvious. Look
Trackers, man.
Yeah, we had nothing better to do, right?
Did you eat a fucking Amtrak?
Everything, dude. When I was running the cycle, I put on 19 pounds in 20 days. That was, I mean, stupid shit. I would never recommend doing any of that again, but
no.
It was so obnoxious, and I was so big for the longest time. And so, but yeah, I would always volunteer my guys to monitor the piss tests. And
fucking genius.
Nobody ever wants to be a monitor.
No one's
like, if you get voluntold, like, hey, you got to be a pecker checker for the piss test, you're like, damn, you got to stare at dicks all day.
Yeah.
So all my guys were running the cycles. Everybody was juiced out. I was like, hey, we're gonna monitor, and they're like, yeah. Or they'd come running to me like, Cesar, we're doing a piss test. I volunteered us to be the monitor team, and I was like, all right, good to go. And so like, I never monitored. All my sergeants and shit would do it, but yeah, that's how we always. My team literally monitored.
Yeah, I was the guy that got picked for every fucking random piss test. I was like, bro.
Never.
You're wasting my urine on this. Like, I'm not doing the drugs. I'm not doing.
Well, I guess they never tested for steroids anyways. It was just
the
they
basics.
Had to it was a specific one.
They were just looking for that THC.
There was a couple of times where, like, I got caught. I had 2 plates on each side of the bar, and I one-handed snatch and cleaned it above my head.
Yeah, there's nothing weird about that.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Like, I got bet to do it, and I was like, I bet I can. And as I did it, our battalion sergeant major walks in, and I'm like, yeah, one-handed snatching 225 over my head, and he was like, looked at me, and I dropped it, and I'm like, I am so busted, and they never said a word about it. So, but like everybody, I mean, we're instructors. Like, what else do you do besides just haze students and do steroids at the time? I mean, that was literally my life for.
I don't have any students to haze these days, but I do a lot of steroids. You can't tell. That's why I was a little, I thought I was gonna be late because I was actually shooting up in the parking lot.
There you go.
Trying to get that cycle going.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna fucking blow up on this. I'm gonna be big.
But so Sea State Coffee, dude. Let's get into this. How did you even come about and get it going?
So. For the coffee, like, I just woke up one morning when I was living in Anchorage, drinking coffee, and I was like, I want my own line of coffee. And then I fucking did it.
What year was this?
That was 2016.
You don't have your established date on here?
It does. It says 2015. The roasts didn't start coming out because I was doing like shirts and apparel and shit.
Yeah,
but I didn't have the roasted coffee until like beginning of 2016.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you've been grinding since.
Yeah.
What's been that, starting a business and doing that is since getting out? I mean, I love watching any veteran succeed, especially the business side of things. But at the same time, Nobody hates a successful veteran more than a veteran.
Oh,
so
dude, it's so crazy because like any veteran that's running a successful company, people are like, man, fuck that dude. You know,
sure, especially the veteran community, which
Yeah.
is very unfortunate. And
like-
if anybody wants to argue it, they're full of shit.
he stole my shirt idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what was it? It was a fucking dude shooting a gun. Like, bro, every fucking veteran company has that. Just a heads up, you know, like, and
Just how it is.
yeah, it's like some fucking, you know, samurai shit or something like that, or fucking, it's just wild to me. Like, so like I started up and I was doing like the shirts and stuff like that. And then I was like, fuck, you know, I want a consumable because people buy a shirt and then they usually,
One and done.
yeah, they're not like, I fucking need to get on the monthly shirt plan so I can have a new shirt every month. So, you know, I just started plugging away at it, and I was contracting overseas, took all the money from that, saved it, reinvested it into my company. So I bought all the equipment. Like, I have zero debt. I don't
Good
owe
for you.
anybody shit.
Good.
And that's like one of the biggest failures you see with people like startups is they're like, okay, well, we're going to go to the bank. We're going to need a loan for fucking X amount of dollars. Well, the bank doesn't give a fuck that you're selling like used bathwater. They'll give you the money, but then a month into it, when you realize that the used bathwater market's not as good as your buddy had projected it would be,
Yep.
now you're asked out, and the bank's like, well, we need our money plus interest.
So you never went that route.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Never got into used bathwater.
Yep.
And so, you know, like coffee, just about everybody except for weirdos.
I'm one of those. Weirdos.
Yeah, no, you are. You are.
I've gotten that a lot.
That's all right, dude. I do the farmer's market in Eagle.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem to feel the notion to like come up and tell me that they're a tea drinker. And I'm like, okay.
Why don't you come out with a tea line?
Dude, I've got enough going on with coffee. You know what I mean? Like you and everybody else are like, bro, have you ever thought about selling sponges? You're like, no. They're like, just picture it. C-state sponges, right? You're like, no. I fucking have so much shit going on.
I get it.
With coffee.
So this is where my dislike for coffee comes from.
I think you told me at one point.
Trauma bonded from it.
Yeah.
My dad, we'd go hunting, and we had this windy ass road forever. It was like on the edge of the Lake Ontario. But he would stop and get like this Frappuccino, vanilla bullshit smelling coffee. And I'd lay in the back seat and I'd get like car sick. I'd get nauseous because it was such a windy road. So every morning we'd go hunting, I'd get car sick and get nauseous, and all I would smell was this shit ass coffee.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
And so my whole life, I've always related coffee to like, you know, when
Misery.
you eat something, like you eat an amazing meal, or you have like lobster and crab and you get food poisoning and you can't ever eat it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same deal. It's not that like I've never even really tasted coffee. The smell of it.
Yeah.
Just every time to me. And but yeah, I mean, the wife has pushed so hard. So that's why I've gotten into tea over the years. But I mean, I love, and I wish like I was one of those guys like that got into it. But I just need to see or tea next.
Well, you know,
but the coffee thing.
I figured I'd bring you a bunch of stuff that you can't use.
Right. I mean, I could try it. I can definitely try it.
Well, I mean,
I think it's one of those days that I just have to man up eventually and start doing it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've accepted
me.
it. Yeah, we're all thinking it.
Dude, crack one right now, bro.
Well,
wait, baby steps. Okay, dude, you're all bad. I do roids, and now fucking coffee comes out, and you're like, nah, dude.
I'm looking at the vanilla one. I'm like, maybe.
Dude, it's pretty good.
What's this one?
That one's chocolate.
I'll do chocolate.
Oh my god.
Are you? Do you want
to? Just give it a light little.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at
gets
that.
the nitrogen activated. Look at that can. That's fucking beautiful.
Which camera are we on?
I don't even know. I just see lights coming on and off, and I'm just like...
I'm the same way, dude.
Dude, he turned the cameras off like hours ago. You know, we're just talking.
He's ready to go home. Yeah. He's not even over there anymore.
I heard some snoring at one point. Dude, if you puke, we are editing that out. Just all over me.
Right. That's definitely doable. Okay, I can do that.
That's good.
I can do that.
Yeah, that stuff is phenomenal. Because like you go to the store and you drink.
How much caffeine is in this?
A lot.
Fucking wired all night.
Yeah, don't drink. They're at 326 milligrams in
That's actually really good.
Yes, I'm telling you, they're all that good.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. Like the sweetened just has pure cane sugar in it. The vanilla, of course, vanilla, chocolate.
Oh, the wife's going to love these. That's actually really good.
Yeah. That's a game changer. Because most people...
That's my first coffee I've ever... I mean, I've sipped coffee before. That's the first time I've ever actually drank coffee.
Yeah.
I'm glad you called me out on it. I'm glad I tried it.
Yeah. We had a lot riding on it. You're just like...
How nervous were you in that moment?
None.
If I was like, this tastes like shit.
None. It's a food item.
You're like, I don't need you anyways.
Yeah. Fuck this podcast.
Yeah, nobody watches us anyway,
Dude,
so you're good.
Up. Where the fuck am I? It's fucking... I'm just shooting up 8 balls and shit on the way over here. Fucking wandered into the wrong building, and here we are.
Yeah, we just saw you walking in the hallway and just
thought,
we're like, look at this guy with this stuff. You wanna have a conversation?
Want to do a podcast, bro? Like, yeah, I'm in.
Dude, I honestly am so blown away. I never thought I'd be a coffee drinker.
I didn't think you were gonna drink it. Like, I brought that specifically just
for the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, you literally were like, hey, bro, I know you are anti-coffee, and I was like, oh, I got a tea mug.
Yeah, we've spent since I've known you in 2016, so 8 years. And
I've never had a cup
every
of coffee.
time you're like, I just absolutely despise coffee. I will not touch it.
Blew my mind today.
And here you are touching it.
And blown away. I mean,
and you drank it.
And the smell of this.
Yeah.
And the smell, okay, so that, besides, obviously, I mean, it's chocolate coffee.
Yeah, you can still taste the coffee.
For sure you can. But it's very subtle, but it's a really good aftertaste. But where you sold me on this is the smell. Like, this doesn't smell like anything a normal. I've been smelling it, I think, throughout this whole episode.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like any coffee that, I mean, granted, I'm not a coffee person by any means.
But you know what bad coffee smells like.
I thought all coffee smelled like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're just assuming that, you're comparing it to what you're used to, that low grade stuff that your dad used to buy back in the day.
I'm going to bring him, I'm going to send him some of this.
Yeah, he needs that in his life.
Well, okay. So if I wanted to get online and order this, where are we headed?
You would go to seastatecoffee.com, SEASTATE coffee.com.
seastatecoffee.com.
Yep.
Support a veteran-owned small business. There's nothing greater than being able to do that.
Everything on the website, it's all roasted on order.
So if I place an order right now for one bag, this isn't already prepackaged, or are you roasting as it goes?
I'm roasting as it goes. So like,
really,
you're not the only person that's, of course, like if I had to roast just 12 ounces, that would be very difficult. I'd bring out the small roaster, but I have a 12 kilo roaster, so I can do up to 25 pounds at a time, and I get enough orders throughout the days that it makes sense to roast.
For sure.
Because I want people to get the freshest coffee that they possibly can get their hands on, because it makes a huge difference. Like, you notice if you buy coffee that's been sitting on a store shelf for a year, it's not as good.
That's a thing. Like, coffee can be that old.
Yeah, yeah.
And here you are roasting it
as the orders come in
to order.
Yeah.
And good for you, man. That's pretty impressive. And you're able to do that because of, obviously, you being owner operator, everything, and you're not sourcing anything out, and you're able to keep all the ingredients.
Yeah, I do it all. I mean, not everything. The girlfriend helps out with, like, she laid out all the graphic design stuff because she's a graphic design person. If you would ask me to build these coffee bags in Illustrator, you'd be like,
a Marine made
what is this, dude? Like,
it'd
what
be
did
crayons, and there'd be a bite mark in it somewhere.
Yeah, they'd be like, I don't understand what you're trying to sell me right now.
Man, I honestly want to finish this, but I don't sleep as it is, and 326 milligrams of caffeine. Are all of yours the same way?
So the ones that have flavoring in it are 326, and then the regular nitro cold brew is 356.
356?
Yeah, I have some people that drink like 3 of those a day, and I'm like, bro,
you don't recommend that, huh?
No. Like,
I mean, how many monsters is that equivalent to? I mean,
well, that's the weird thing about coffee, is to not go down like a rabbit hole. Is you can talk to people and be like, hey, you want a cold brew in the afternoon? They're like, whoa, no, it's too late for coffee. But yet they're on their like 5th energy drink of the day, and each energy drink has anywhere from 100 to 200. Some of them have 300 milligrams of caffeine in it, and they'll pound down 2 or 3 of those throughout the day. This is just coffee, water, flavoring, nitrogen. There's no added chemicals. There's no dyes.
So I wasn't sure how to ask that without opening up a can of worms compared to a Monster or a Red Bull.
I don't touch them. I will not. touch either one of those.
See, I don't do any caffeine. I try not, because it's just, I feel like they're just absolute dog shit for you. They're horrible.
So the energy drink, they put chemicals in it that basically just mainlines everything into you. So it speeds up the process of that hitting you. So that's why like people that drink, like I've drank 2 Monsters, back to back, and I felt like my heart was going to explode. Like I was sweating.
For sure.
This was in Anchorage, and it was Anchorage, Alaskan, and it was probably like 20 degrees outside, and I was burning up hot. I had to roll down the window because I was dying from that. With this, like, there's nothing in there. It's coffee. It's roasted coffee.
You look at everything on the ingredients on the back. The highest thing on here is potassium, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For the sweeten, the highest thing is sugar because, of course, it's got sugar in it. And that sweetened cold brew has less sugar than a 12-ounce Red Bull.
Good for you, dude. I'm glad you went that route and kept it as clean as possible. And obviously, with the sweets, you're gonna have
something in there, because one of the biggest complaints was flavors. I want flavors. I want a flavored coffee. Like I like vanilla. I like chocolate. I like sweetened, because I was originally just doing straight nitro cold brew, which is nothing but coffee nitrogen. And then a lot of people were like, you should come out with flavors. So I did, because people do like that flavor, and sometimes the coffee can be a little bit too overpowering. If you're not like a diehard I love coffee, then you're probably not going to want to drink a nitro cold brew, because it has a real strong, not like an overpowering coffee taste. It's different because the brewing process for cold brew isn't the same as making like a cold coffee. You know what I mean? So like if you go home and you make a pot of coffee, and then you take a cup and put ice in it and you pour the coffee over it, people are like, oh, that's cold coffee. Cold brew is made through steeping coffee in like a big vat up to 24 hours, and then you strain out all you dump the coffee out, not dump it out, but it goes into like a canning line, and from there, like, it changes the flavor profile of the coffee.
Interesting.
So it reduces like the bitterness. There's no weird like aftertaste with it, because
Zero.
When you make like hot coffee, the coffee is basically being shocked by the hot water.
Okay.
And so that's why, like, if you were to take that bag of coffee and we were to make it, multiple different ways, like say we did an AeroPress, we did a pour over, we did a French press, we did, an espresso with it. Like, each way you make it is going to change the flavor profile of that coffee.
Which is fast, because I watch these guys, right? I don't know why I get served it on social, because I'm, until this moment, and tried your coffee, I've been anti-coffee.
Oh, I know. We've had this conversation many times. Like, I'm like, hey, would you like some coffee for the wife? And you're like, yeah, but I won't touch it.
Yeah.
But
I watch these guys make it make it in so many different ways. So every one of their styles were...
Because there's a different grind.
Bro, there's so many different... And I'm fascinated by them, because it's a world that I don't know anything about. And I'll watch all these... And then even the cups they're pouring them into and how they're sipping out of them. All that makes a difference.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people... I was reading articles and stuff on like French presses, that when you make the French press, like, you put the coffee grounds in, then you put hot water in at a certain temperature, and then you bring it up just a couple of inches, and then you let it sit for 2 minutes or whatever. It's all user preference. And then you want to break up that crust of the coffee, because it's kind of crusted. And there's people that are like, do not use a metal spoon, because the metal will change the flavor profile.
It goes that deep?
People go that deep. Me, I wouldn't notice the difference. If you took a wooden spoon and a metal spoon, I'd be like, yeah, this is...
Are you one of those people, though? Do you brew a certain... If you were to do this right here, if you're going to have your coffee ground up, what's your preferred method?
Honestly, right now, I make K-Cups.
A what?
K-Cup.
What's that?
For a Keurig. The one single, because I make K-Cups.
Oh, you make... Yeah. Wait, so you could order like the Keurig ones?
Yeah.
What is it called?
K-Cup?
No, a Keurig?
Keurig, yeah.
Keurig?
Yeah.
Sorry. Dude, that just shows I have
and so
no idea what you're talking about when it comes to coffee.
If you go to like a hotel, right? You stay at whatever
I know what they are, yeah.
Right? But what I'm saying is, if you pop open one of those pods and you look at the coffee, it's going to look dried out and it's disgusting. And then if you hold up the pod and look at it in the light, there's going to be a gap at the bottom of it, because there's a basket inside of that pod. And so when you put it in the Keurig, there's a needle at the bottom and then there's a needle at the top. And so they puncture it, and then the water flows through and
makes your coffee.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so with my K-Cups, there's actually more coffee in there, because the basket inside the K-Cup is stronger. So it can take the puncture from the bottom and it won't rupture the basket. So it's actually a really good cup of coffee, which should not be, because a Keurig coffee is usually...
And you can order those right online?
Yeah. And so it's the same thing with the K-Cups. Like if you order K-Cups, I roast the coffee, I grind the coffee, I put it in the machine, I fill the coffee pods, and then I put lid stickers on top of it, which I hate stickers now because of that. And then I put it in a box, and then I put it in another box, and then I tape up said box, and then I put a shipping label on it, and then I drive it over to the post office. So by the time you get the coffee, it's probably like 3 or 4 days old, if that.
And that's a pretty good thing. That's what you're looking for in the coffee world?
Yeah.
So if anybody goes to C-State Coffee and orders anything, it's being 100% processed, packed, shipped, everything by a veteran themselves.
Right. And so for the cold brew, like I'm not making that in-house. I've got a friend who owns a company that can do that.
Okay.
Because in order to get in a cold brew, you're probably looking at, like if I was like, I want to start my own cold brew, I want to make it in-house, I'd probably need, I don't know, a few $100,000 worth of equipment.
Really?
Like in a canning line.
Yeah.
To do volume like that, you're at 100,000 plus, then you need all the vats and whatnot.
Yep.
But he's,
I was going to ask that at what the product, because this is legit, you know, I mean. Obviously.
And it's pasteurized, so it's good for, 9 months is what we have it tested and certified for. Probably in the next few months, it'll be certified for 1 year shelf life.
Good for you, man. But obviously you don't want that, but.
I don't think you would notice a difference, because I've drank this stuff at a year out, unpasteurized, to test it.
Yeah.
Tasted fine. And so like that, you don't have to keep refrigerated, this stuff. But, I recommend people keep it in the refrigerator, because you don't want to drink like a hot cold brew. That doesn't make any sense.
It's an oxymoron. Right?
Yeah, right. I'm sure somebody's like, I just love it hot,
There are those people.
Yeah, you can't win them all. But yeah, it's going well. Having somebody that has helped me in the process of doing that has been great for the cold brew, because to invest $500,000 into something to get it started, that's a substantial investment.
For
and
sure.
Then to see, like, if it doesn't work, now you've got $500,000 worth of equipment that you're like on Craigslist.
Is that a goal of yours though, to get to that stage where you have all your own equipment, or is it cool what you're doing now?
I'll probably keep it to where it's at.
Yeah.
It's just easier. I don't have to deal with it, because now you're dealing with time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you make your own cold brew and quote unquote save money, which you're not at the end of the day, because, I'd be spending.
How long does it take to recoup all of that?
A long time. Yeah. I'd have to sell a lot of cold brew.
That's a lot of cans.
Yeah. And especially because my price point is lower than just about everything else out on the market per volume. Because what a lot of people don't look at is they don't look at the cost per ounce. So like when you go to the store and you see coffee company X selling a 7-ounce can of cold brew, it's, $2.99. You're only getting 7 ounces. So if you look at the cost per ounce, you're at like 40 cents or something like that. I'm not crunching numbers right now, but you're but you're a little bit lower than that, like maybe 39 cents.
And you're getting a full 12 ounce for $3?
$3.99.
$3.99, so $4 a can. I feel like that's pretty cheap.
That's a really good deal, honestly. Like next time you're in one of the local stores, just look at the coffee section in the cold case.
Man, what's a Monster cost on a shelf?
I think it's like $2.99.
That's shit.
Or $3.99 for like a big one, but then you're just consuming chemicals.
For sure.
And it's not, no one's like, dude, drink more Monsters and you'll be better, or whatever.
Said no one ever.
Yeah, exactly. And they own a substantial share of the beverage industry. Like, you can't mess with Monster.
Yeah, I mean, they own it all.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm happy with it.
Well, cool, dude. I'm super proud of you, man. And again, cstatecoffee.com.
Yep.
Veteran owned.
Yep.
Based here out of Idaho. Small business. Why would people not want to support that? So as far as the beans and everything, are you sourcing all that? Like, okay, so let's real quick. How long have we been in this?
Dude, we've been here a while. Oh, shit.
2 hours, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But who's counting, all right? So when it comes to, there's a lot of coffee companies out there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some famous ones, some veteran ones.
Yep.
What's the difference between yours and theirs? Is there a difference?
Mine tastes good.
I mean, that was honestly, that's really good.
I've tried just about a lot of the companies out there, because everybody, when you do this, people are like, have you tried brand X? And I'm like, yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was not good. There's one coffee company, and it's the only coffee that I've ever spit out in my life. I'm not going to say the name, but you can probably fill in the blanks. I was in Afghanistan in the JOC talking to the Marine security on security, and right, and we're just shooting the shit, and the pot brewed of coffee, and I was like, "Oh, is that fresh coffee?" And he's like, "Yeah, but it tastes fucking terrible." And I was like, "It can't be that bad." And so I poured a cup. It was still hot, and then I sat there and talked for maybe another 10 minutes while it cooled off. And I took a sip of it, and I was like, spit it right back in the cup. And I was like, that is the most disgusting fucking coffee I've ever had in my life.
Are these a big veteran, famous coffee company?
I mean, you can fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say who it is. But
does it sound like Schmack Rifle Rafi?
You know, it's, you know, I went to SEER, so like I'm pretty good at like evading the question. But, you know, you know,
yeah,
it's like, and you know, I don't like to.
What makes coffee bad? Is it because
low grade coffee beans, just cheap? Like there's different grades of coffee because you go, and this is all like grade 1 stuff
that you're using.
Yeah, I use grade 1 above, which is scaled at an 80 or above. And then like I pick stuff with different flavor notes because each coffee has like different tasting notes and different stuff that comes into it. But a lot of these like really big brands, and it's not synonymous with just the veteran community, is they make it into, let's buy the cheapest fucking coffee we can get our hands on, and we'll sell it for the most astronomical fucking price possible.
It's the American way, right?
Yeah, hell yeah. Get behind it. And so for me, like after drinking so much shit coffee, I was like, why don't I just make coffee that's fucking good and not charge out the ass for it? You know, because like right now, that's a 12-ounce bag of fresh roasted coffee, roasted probably like 3 or 4 days ago, if I recall correctly.
Hey, are you doing all your own roasting?
Yeah.
So you're getting everything in raw?
Yeah.
Damn, good for you, dude.
Yeah.
And that's all based out of Idaho?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so, I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah.
Sorry.
So, fuck.
Different grades of coffee.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
And yeah, so like if you buy higher grade coffee, it's more expensive on my end. Like my margins are extremely tight.
Oh, for sure.
And so I just want people to get a good cup of coffee at not an insane price. And so it seems like a simple business model, like premium coffee at not a premium price.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that are like, you should be charging $20 a bag for this shit.
And what do you charge for a bag?
$13.99.
Where does that fall in the, I really like your marketing. I like your designs.
Yeah. I just need like some super badass influencer to be like, bro, you're so cool. Oh, I was thinking like an actual influencer.
Oh.
Can I get an influencer?
My kids call me an influencer, so and it's really
I'm looking for like a real influencer.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, but
one that actually influences.
Yeah, like nobody's gonna see that.
No, nobody.
The only person he influenced was the guy behind the computer falling asleep, and he didn't even get influenced. He's uninfluenced.
I need one of those. You need a coffee, dude.
And
well, that's awesome, man. That you've been able to. Well, what was it like? Are you traveling to source these, or are you getting samples sent to you? Like, how do you source the beans?
So I get them from like a wholesale company. Okay. Because I mean, until you get really large, you actually can't. It's not affordable to go to a farm and cups coffee is what it's called, which is where you like slurp it and you get the tasting notes and you're like, oh, okay, that's really good.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have to buy like a Connex box worth, and I'm not selling enough to where if I had a Connex box of coffee, I would have a Connex box of coffee for a long time. Like there's a lot of coffee.
I feel like that, yeah.
And I just don't need that yet. So I get it from a wholesaler that does all the cupping and they do the import stuff for it. And it just makes it way easier. Maybe at some point.
It smells good already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
You might. Are you a coffee drinker, Chris? Man, you might have changed my mind on coffee. That smells nothing like coffee to me.
No, and that's the problem is like we have been conditioned to think that Folgers is coffee.
That's what my parents have drank their whole life.
And it's fucking repulsive. Like,
yes.
Folgers is so disgusting that if I like smell it, I'm like, like it makes me want to gag. Because what you're smelling is what fresh roasted premium quality.
You could smell the roast, like the actual roast, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that smell, not campfire. I guess roasted would be the.
It kind of smells like it's been cooked.
Like roasted?
Yeah, like if someone had roasted it.
But it's not, like that's not burnt. That's not a coffee smell to me, though.
And so then you take like Starbucks, right? Yeah. And their coffee is absolutely terrible as well. And that's why
are they using like a low grade? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah,
they're using a low grade.
They've got to be. There's no way that. But then again, they also have buying power. They're a $1 billion company. They can just tell the farm like
they're buying ships.
Box it all up.
Yeah,
you know, and then farm does it. So, but even then, like they just burn the shit out of the coffee.
Okay. Why?
Which is why you get that burnt taste.
Okay.
Because they sell all their drinks with sugar, fucking almond milk or whatever, free range milk that you need or all that shit. The syrups, and it's just, 15 pumps of chocolate syrup, and you're like, oh, this is delicious.
See, to me, that's not coffee.
No. But
as a non-coffee drinker, I watch my wife order. Well, she does it anymore, but when she was on that kick, and I'd look at her and be like, "What the fuck is like?"
Yeah,
that's
you listen to
coffee.
people order, and they're like a triple frappe, double shot, goat milk, 2 pumps vanilla, 3 pumps pumpkin spice, 1 pump nothing. And, extra sprinkles, please, and hold the whip. Like, oh, that's where we're calling where the line is being drawn at hold the whip. And so. I mean, honestly, like my thing is just provide people with like a premium quality product.
Yeah.
This cold brew, if you were to go to Fred Meyer here in town, they would be selling other coffee companies coffee in cold brew format. And it's only like, I think it's a 10.6 fluid ounce can, and it's $4.99 for 12 ounces. That's a full 12 ounce can for $3.99. That's my price point.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And people can order these online?
Yep. And so like I've undercut a lot of shit. I'm at the same price point as other large coffee companies. But then what people also don't realize is we've been conditioned to see that can as 12 fluid ounces.
Yeah.
So like Starbucks and the other company that I mentioned, they're like a Starbucks, I think is like 9.6 fluid ounces. So next time you're in the store, grab one of their cans and look at it. It's 9.6 fluid ounces.
Yeah.
There's another company that it's same price, $3.99, and it's 11 ounces. And so
you're getting better quality for the same price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard to beat. Like that stuff is phenomenal.
So what's the goal with it? I mean, you're getting retail, or you direct? I mean, where do you see you want it all?
Yeah. I'll take as much of it as I can get.
Right.
Cause like right now I've got, I'm using distribution and stuff like that. Like I'm in multiple gas station chains around here, trying to branch out into more retail locations. And it's a pain in the ass because nobody wants to talk to you. You're not big enough. You don't have like dollars to throw around. Like I look at people that are already filthy rich, right? If you're a multimillionaire and you start a business and it all of a sudden does well, I'm not fucking impressed because you have money to dump into marketing. You have enough money to buy, 10,000 units of whatever you're about to sell to get the price point down so low that you can undercut people or you actually have a healthy profit margin.
Yeah.
And so like, this has all just been bootstrap from the ground, organic growth, slow road, fucking.
I mean, I feel though, for who we are, it's so much more rewarding that way.
It is, but it's also fucking stressful. Like there's days where I wake up and I'm like, fuck coffee. I fucking hate it. I'll call the girlfriend and she'll be like, how was your day? And I'll be like, these fuck coffee. This fucking shit is stupid.
Who even drinks this shit?
I don't even, Brian fucking hates it. I'm fucking done, and she's like, okay, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
And then like 15 minutes later, like being a business owner is the equivalent of probably being bipolar. Cause like 15 minutes later, someone calls you and they're like, we want it in our store. And you're like,
I'm the greatest day ever.
I'm the best coffee seller fucking known to man. Like I am a sales machine.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And then 3 days later, someone's like, come get your shit out of my store. It's not selling. And you're like, this motherfucker, like, real tough on that email, and it's just wild to me. Like,
but that just makes it so much more rewarding. I feel like when, because that's the biggest thing. Everyone's like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a business owner. I want to work for myself so I don't have to do the 9 to 5. And it's like 9 to 5.
When does
when does it stop?
Yeah, there's no stopping. Like
exactly.
Even if you're not actually doing something, like you're
doing something.
You're still like, fuck,
your mind is never not on it.
No, it's 24 fucking 7.
I mean, you've been plugging away for a while, but like especially like a startup or like something that's fresh. Man, like it is.
Also, trying to talk people out of the previous coffee brand that they used to drink is fucking ridiculous. Like people are like, oh, I only drink brand X because it's the best. And I'm like, well, why don't you give this a try? And they're like, $13.99. I can get coffee at Walmart for $10.99. I'm like, they're not comparable. You're buying a bag of Folgers or Dunkin' Donuts. Like it's mass produced shit.
Yep.
You're buying a premium quality product here that's going to taste better. And then everybody that tries it is like, that was really fucking good. Like, I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. I actually want to drink more. I'm not a caffeine or a coffee dude. I'm like, dude, this stuff's gonna 326 milligrams.
It's the equivalent of like
caffeine.
3 cups of coffee.
Yeah, I'm not finishing that.
Dude, your wife will be like, what?
I already don't sleep as it is.
Doing push-ups for? It'd be like something about Mary. You just fucking vacuuming under the couch, all cracked out and shit. Yeah. She's like, what? Do you even do a podcast? You're back on the fucking drugs again, aren't you?
Fuck. She's like, I thought we've gotten past this.
Nope, not at all.
That's pretty awesome, man. I'm super proud of you because I've watched it from the beginning. I mean, the infant stages of walking around SHOT Show trying to sling.
Anything.
You know,
$20 is $20 when you're at SHOT Show, bro. Hey. Like, buy some coffee and yeah.
Yeah, right?
And yeah, I mean, it's. I think, in my opinion, the branding is the best looking cans on the fucking shelf.
Yeah, honestly, man, these are pretty. I really like your logos. I mean,
yeah.
Even your shirt. I want that shirt, by the way. But
yeah, I got you.
This is awesome, dude. I mean, everything looks super on point. I really like the branding. I mean, it smells amazing. When you put me on the spot there, me and who I couldn't, like, how am I not going to not try it?
You could have. Could have just been like, this is terrible.
I ain't a bitch.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I didn't go with we have a black coffee one in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, black unsweetened probably would not have been the best first.
No, that's probably not where you want to start.
That's how my dad drinks a lot of, like, to this day, just black, like nothing in it, and just no.
I mean, even that, like, it finishes kind of chocolatey, like on the back end of your tongue, like you'll taste chocolate tasting notes on it. It's like got a creamy finish on it as well because of the nitrogen and the way that it reacts with the coffee.
I wonder if my wife is going to be excited or pissed that I finally.
That's on you.
Tried it.
That's you guys got to figure out.
All these years that you let this asshole come on and
you let some dude that you talk to like every month randomly via text change your life, and I've stood by you through fucking everything. I married you.
That's how we worked.
I birthed your children. Yeah. I put up with you.
And you would never even just try it.
Not
for this
once.
guy?
We go to whatever coffee stand and we get all this shit. And
I sit there. She orders across from me every time.
Yeah.
I'm still not going to order any coffee.
No, dude. Stay strong. Fuck that.
If I'm only drinking anything.
You're drinking C-State now.
If I'm only ever going to drink coffee, it's C-State coffee.
Oof, fuck. I just got a fucking shiver. That was the chills on that one. Dude, I can already feel the sales rolling in.
No, nobody listens to this. So
no, I know that was the point of why I said that.
Oh, okay, you're being very facetious. Yeah, nobody listens to this.
Dude, I'm already rich. Like, I'm headed to the fucking Tesla dealer after this.
You want to get a Cybertruck? You're gonna go get I know a guy that sells armored vehicles.
I've seen.
Yeah, you want one? I
can tell you it's not in my price range. I wouldn't even waste his time being like, "What's the price of this?"
We're not slinging that much coffee.
Not enough to buy a fucking. That is true.
Not yet.
You know, it's just a slow process.
Well, I feel it's a pretty saturated market too, so you have an everyday uphill battle.
Yeah, it is a very saturated market, and that's why I rolled into the cold brew because it's not as saturated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh, you're in the military, so what's your plan when you get out? Like, well, I'm either going to start a shirt company, a tobacco company, a coffee company, or I'm going to contract.
Yeah.
Or
I've done all of those except for the coffee.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, why? I mean, I'm all about it. Like, if you want to start a coffee company, go for it.
For sure.
Do it.
Start anything, man.
But also do it right. Like, you're in a saturated, very saturated market, and everyone's like, I'm more veteran than that coffee company is. They're like, you know, we support
veteran, that veteran.
Yeah, like we support 100 nonprofits, and like, well, we support 1,000 nonprofits,
Yeah.
and it's like, if you buy this coffee, you're saving a Marine's life, or you know, the 22 thing. You buy this thing, we're donating $5 to save someone's life, and it's like, okay. That's cool that you're donating it to something, to, you know, programs for PTSD and stuff like that. But I think there's a lot more that could be done.
For sure.
And so, you know, it's all good, but it's like the problem is nowadays is everyone wants to know is like, what are you doing for veterans? And I'm like, well, first off, like, I'm a veteran. I'm just trying to
survive.
Fucking money doing this shit, you know? Like, I mean, I have.
And I'll be honest with you, dude, and I'll say it, that most of those people having a charity for the last decade, none of those people give a fuck about veterans.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd be hard to argue against it.
That was one of the reality checks that I've learned over the years of having a charity, is that I would say I'm not going to say everybody,
Yeah.
but I would probably say 75 to 85%. It is a very small percentage of companies that actually give back to the veteran community. And I'm only speaking on the veteran community because that's my realm.
Yeah.
They do not give a fuck.
It's a tax write-off.
It's not even that. It's marketing. It's all to make themselves look cool.
Yeah,
look at us. And it's very sad, man. That's one thing that was a gut check for me when I first would start working with some companies and they'd reach out and like, we'd love to support your organization. I'm like, oh my God, this company, like,
dude,
holy
you
shit.
see that shit with like many companies, and it's just like the same people over and over again. Like, look at what we did for this person. Look at like, I'm sure you've seen all the stuff that I've seen for in this realm, and it's like that person's nothing more than a poster child for your organization. Like they went through unspeakable things during the war, lost limbs or TBI, extreme PTSD, whatever it may be, and you're just popping them up and be like, this is who we're helping, we're saving them.
The shitty part to that is you have to.
You do.
And I hate it was so hard. That's why we call them our OG vets. They're like our original wishes vets, and we have a really cool core of these guys that like I don't need to reach out to every day. I don't need to, I still get invited to their weddings and but we had that group of guys, and like I've had the talk with them like, hey, listen, like you're literally here to help, and you're a marketing tool. And I've had, not in those terms, but like I've personally had those conversations with these guys because I know they're feeling them. They feel that way. Like you're missing your triple amputee and you have to go. You're only coming, not only coming, but you're coming to these events where there's a lot of eyeball. That's one of the shittiest parts of what I did as helping the veterans. That's because if you don't, people don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to help some healthy dog that's running around someone's yard, but you see the dog that's limping around. You're like, oh, poor thing, even though it's probably taken better care of. It's all image. And that's the shitty part about having a charity is that you have to. And I think that's a big reason why we didn't. I mean, we've excelled so much over the years, so I don't want to say we haven't excelled because especially right now, the momentum we have going is incredible. But I would watch the charities that pick their poster boys, and that's what we call them. It's their poster boy, their marketing tool, which we would use a couple of our like good guys that were close, and I could have that conversation like, hey, you need to come give a speech because these guys want to donate a lot of money. And so they were cool with it because at the same time, like, hey, you guys get to come on these awesome trips at the same time because you're helping us, we're going to help you. But some of those guys, like, that's their only purpose is to literally go. And I've had veterans reach out. Hey, I'm a triple amputee, been through this, survived this, 3-time suicide survivor, blah, 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 blah. They give you this whole, and you're like, Jesus, bro. Like, and they're like, I'll come speak for you at events.
Yeah.
And you're just like, so then you have that side of the veteran community where these guys are now capitalizing on being wounded and they're charging you to come speak for your charity event. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So then,
wow, I've heard stories about that. Like,
dude, I get approached all the time. I just had a guy not too long ago come wheeling up to me in a wheelchair, and he's like, just gives me this resume of, oh, I've spoke at this foundation and this foundation and this foundation and this foundation, raised X amount of money, and he's going on this whole entire thing. And the whole entire time he's talking to me about this, I'm like, why the fuck do I want to use you? Like, I want guys that I've touched, I've impacted. We've seen when I say the organization.
Yeah, I get it.
And so, like, that we've changed their life. I'm not going to have some random vet.
Yeah, the guy in the corner that took out the sign, like, homeless vet, need help. Like, dude, hop in. We're going to a rally.
Right? And so, like, that's always been my thing is, like, I'm only going to have somebody speak on behalf of our organization that's somebody that we've made a difference to. Yeah. And so dude, the charity world is a fascinating world, the veteran side of things. I'm not speaking for any other charities except for the veteran world. And it's like, it sucks because you have to have those, it's a marketing tool, because it's like the Sarah McLachlan. You see this dog that's in a little cage and is probably perfectly
fine.
fine.
See where their money's going.
Exactly. And so that was one of those things that we've had to really shift gears over, and then learning, I don't care how big the company is, how much they donate. There is a huge percentage huge percentage that they do not care at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'd have phone calls with guys like, "Hey, listen, we want more wounded veterans in our stuff." And I'm like, "Excuse what?" And they're like, "Yeah, these guys just don't look wounded enough." And I've literally told companies like, "I'm sorry, we're not the ones for you. I don't need your money.
Go get more wounded and then come back."
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean,
fucking wild to me. Like,
yeah, because that's what it came down to.
You can't get someone with missing both their legs. You only got a guy missing one leg.
Yep.
Like,
I've had companies tell us like, "Hey, give me requirements. Like, hey, we're going to give you X amount. We would like this to happen."
Like a mail order bride.
100%.
What the fuck?
And I've never
thumbing through a magazine of like disabled vets. You're like,
I've had them screenshot. I've had companies screenshot, "Hey, we would like this guy to come to our event." And if it, like, why? Well, he's got the look. What's the look?
What's that?
Oh, he's got a prosthetic arm and a leg. Oh, that's the look. Well, what about this dude that's standing next to him that literally put his finger in his best friend's throat while he bled to death in his arms, and now that dude has survivor's remorse, PTSD, finished his deployment, but meanwhile, the guy that's missing both his legs was in Afghan for 3 days, got blown up. He's I'm not saying perfectly fine, but he didn't go through the crazy survival. Yeah. And I have to explain to these people, the guys that don't have the scars, majority of the time are the ones that are struggling the worst. They're the ones that are in the darkest spots.
Yeah.
Because you're walking through an airport and nobody acknowledges you. Nobody's thanking you. But you got I'm going to use Dom, one of the greatest dudes ever, been part of our organization, started as one of our vets. Now he's on the podcast. He was in Afghan, got blown up. He's Lance Corporal. He's like, yeah, sucks for y'all. He got below the knee. He's up and running in a couple of months. He's not, when I say perfectly fine, he's fucking rocking and rolling now, right? He still has his demons. He's got his battles. But then I take some guy that's done 4 deployments to Afghan and Iraq. He's gone through hell, lost so many friends. Those are the dudes that are struggling. So like really learning that part of the charity world it was a hard pill to swallow for me, because like here we are like, we just want to help. I just want to give these veterans an avenue to be able to learn or express or bond or overcome things. And then we have these companies who are like, well, we would really like them to look a little bit more wounded. I'm like, fuck yourself. And I've told I don't know how many companies. I'm sure the wife got a list of them.
You're like, fuck, he's on the phone again.
Yeah, like, oh, how'd that go? I'm like, well, they want this. And I'm like, I'm not going to support that. And I'd give them, hey, these guys will do it for you. They have no problem parading guys around. But that's that balance that I've always tried to find in the charity world of like, but going back, I was kind of off topic, but yeah, I get it. Like these companies. So like, just because a company's supporting veterans and donating veterans, and I don't care if I get shit from this, the majority of them don't care. And that's from over 10 years of working with
it's like insiders.
Everybody. Like they do not care. And they'll tell you all, man, we're going to give you so much. This is going to help the community. Da, da, da. And then it's like, hey, we want more wounded guys. We want them to look like, it's like, why? If you really care, write me your check, fuck off, and let us help the veteran community like you want to. And it's very, very, very rare that happens. It's actually, when the wife, once we,
you should make a book of veterans that you have in an organization as a joke.
What do you mean?
Like the ones that are wounded.
Oh yeah.
And then be like, I can mail you a PDF of their bios and pictures and carnal knowledge about them, and just let me know. Try to keep it down to like 2, maybe.
Yeah,
for this run, and
get above 3.
Dude, you could do like money breakdowns at like $100,000. We can give you like this.
That honestly,
no fucking way.
Honest to God, companies would probably love that. That would honestly
they'd be like, this dude is fucking genius. Like
pimping.
Your disabled vet book?
There's a business right there. Let's just come out with a disabled vet book, and these guys get a percentage, and they come
Coffee company's dead. I just shut it down.
Fuck
right
coffee.
Now. Yeah, the coffee's dumb. We could be fucking selling disabled vets.
Yeah, let's capitalize on wounded veterans.
That's honestly why I did this podcast today. Is like I really wanted to roll into that, because I was like,
now that we're on this topic,
it took us fucking 3 hours to get here. So what are you thinking, monetary wise?
Yeah, hey, let's cut it and let's talk business now about wounded vets. How do we capitalize on these guys?
Fucking mics off.
Yeah.
Like I'm done.
Fuck coffee. Make some money. Fuck coffee. Fuck charities. Let's just start making money.
We'll go down to the VA tomorrow and just load up a van.
Yeah,
and then.
Yes.
We could just be like free coffee and they'll get in.
Yeah.
And we'll just drive them around and we'll go to all the big companies around here and be like, what do you want, dude?
Just wheel them out.
Yeah.
Wheel them out.
Dude. We'd be they'd be like, what the fuck are you two doing? You're like,
we just get a short bus and we're like, well, we'll just get them all crayons.
Dude, we'll just call it Only Vets.
Only Vets. Okay, edit this. We're doing it. We're doing it.
Only vets, bro. You can get online and swipe right on the one you want.
Yep, and hire them. They show up at your event. You wheel them out on stage, and they talk to your audience. And
fucking just get them back in the van and head to the next event down the street.
There you go.
Whew,
we call those guys professional vets.
Oh,
That's the term for them.
Yeah, you got to.
Those guys do actually. We joke, but that actually exists in the. I mean, I don't know how deep you want to get into that, but that's a real thing in the veteran community. Civilians will eat up anything, and it's really sad to watch. But that's a whole other topic. But
Dude, I'd feel terrible if we were like driving around slinging vets. Or like someone calls you and they're like, dude, we ordered this and this is, they send you a picture and they're like, this dude's fucking walking. The guy we picked was in a wheelchair. What the fuck? We want a full refund and don't cash our check. And then you're like down there like trying to make it better. You're like, hold on a second. I think we got a guy in a wheelchair. Fucking, let me look.
We'll swap him out.
Let me check the warehouse. You know, like it's like so fucked up. Like I can't even believe that this is like, if I explain this to anybody, they're going to be like, no. Like if I called the girlfriend after this and I was like,
this is what we talked about on the podcast.
But check this out. She'd be like, you're stupid.
So at 2 hours and 50-ish minutes, everything after that we're going to edit out. So.
Yeah.
But this is the most typical basic Marine banter. Yeah. This is what it always leads to. From coffee
for sure getting canceled. They're like, dude, these guys.
You can't cancel something that doesn't started yet. Like, you mean the veteran
podcast?
Yeah, the podcast. We can't cancel us. Nobody subscribes.
Yeah, but when it goes to somebody actually accidentally stumbling upon it, you know, when they're on Grindr and they're like, what the fuck is this ad? And then they click on it, you know, because they were just accidentally on that website. And
we get a hell of a return on our ads on Grindr.
Dude, I believe it. I actually, what the fuck was I looking at the other day? But it was like an advertising company that was like pitching Grindr ads. And they were like, and it was breaking down the demographics of Grindr. And it was weird because it was all men.
Chris, I'm going to need you to get on that.
Yeah.
You're going to need to do that research.
He's like, bro, done. I've been researching that.
Done. He's like, actually, I have all the stats right now.
I could back up everything he said. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's almost pretty smart.
Oh, for sure.
But
demographic.
C-State Coffee ain't going to be advertising on fucking Grindr. No. They'd be like, dude, was on my way to a date. Saw your ad. Fucking ordered some.
There we go. Why not?
Great.
Hey, sales are sales, bro.
Dude, I'll take. Yeah, sale is a sale.
Sales is a sale.
Yeah, on the questionnaire, like, where'd you hear about us?
Grindr.
Fuck.
It's working. Put more money into it.
Dumping the whole marketing budget is going into that.
Well, dude, I'm going to end it here because I can only imagine where this conversation is going to go.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you, man. It's been pretty awesome seeing, the success and the grind and not stopping because I know it is not easy to start anything and to keep it all these years and to be able to push and to have your own coffee brand. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. And the stories were hilarious, dude. This was a funny one. I haven't laughed this hard in a while. So I really appreciate you coming on. And thanks for turning me on the coffee.
Well,
I mean, and the shittiest part is people are going to be like, oh, he's a sponsor of the podcast.
No, I'm not.
We'll take it as a sponsor. If you want to pay us, we'll promote it. But
checks in the mail.
Dude, this honestly smells great. It tastes great.
Yes.
I mean, well, I'm going to go with the chocolate one tastes great.
Yeah. You may not like the regular because it's going to taste more like coffee.
Yeah, but I mean, if people really like a coffee. But this honestly smells really good. Like if I left that in my truck and my truck smelled like that,
every time I load the truck up with coffee bags to go to the post office, it smells like that. The post office clerks are like, we know when your stuff is here because our whole back room smells like fresh roasted coffee.
Yeah, like I feel, dude, you should do car fresheners in little bags.
I thought about it, but I was like,
you should make a little sea bag looking thing, something militaristic.
Yeah.
Or a laundry bag, the dirty laundry and do that, and you could hang it from your rear view mirror.
I have thought about that, or candles that smell like the coffee. But I'm like, dude, I have to buy so many of those, and then trying to get people to buy. I'd just end up giving them away at that point. I'll put you down for fucking 1,000 of them. We'll see how much you're behind that business plan.
Done. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm fucking in.
I'm investing. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate your time, man. It was great. I haven't laughed like that in a while. It was pure comedy listening to your story. And I appreciate the stuff, and maybe let's maybe get some guests coming on in the future. And
Sounds good to me.
Can't wait to watch and just keep watching the growth. And
yeah, I know you'll get at least one view with me watching this. So
yeah, I don't even think I would say my mom's gonna be a subscriber, but I don't think she's even seen an episode yet. So like I said, nobody's listening to us.
Just have to fucking, what's the bird thing? We can hold her eyes open in that fucking stupid movie. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on, dude.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Cool,
dude.